Hi, good afternoon all. How are we doing today?
Good afternoon. I'm good.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, good afternoon all. How are we doing today?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Y'all having a good day?
So
It's
far, so
going
good.
good so far.
Yes, thank you.
That's good. That's good.
What about
Okay, so
you?
I think it's good. I won't complain. Thanks for checking.
That's good.
We have two heavy chapters today. I hope that y'all took some time and y'all had a productive week and y'all were able to read so we can get through both of these. But I really want you to walk away with an understanding. You know, I always harp on comprehension, because I want you to ensure that you understand. So please remember, this is supposed to be a provocative discussion. Please feel free to ask questions and give feedback. And no question is a dumb question, but I really need y'all to walk away understanding definitely chapter 5, because in the world in 2018, we moved away from a rules-based approach to a risk-based approach, okay? And chapter 5 talks all about that risk-based approach, okay? When you get on to intermediate, there are 10 chapters and 4 are on this risk-based approach, okay? So you're just going to get an overview today, but I want you to walk away ensuring that you understand this risk-based approach. The next thing is customer due diligence is chapter 6. Again, out of the 40 recommendations, from recommendation 10 all the way to 24, 25, it's about customer due diligence. They all fall under customer due diligence. So that means 15 of the 40 recommendations relate to chapter 6, okay? And so we want you to get an overview and again, walk away with understanding what the statutory requirements are, what your obligations are, or what's required of you by law once you work in the financial services sector, okay? So no sitting there quietly. Okay, and this is being recorded, so we, you know, normally I say let's wait 5 minutes, but we're just gonna go and persons are gonna have to catch up with the recording. I have some concerns about the homework. The first thing is, if you don't get a grade that you like or that you feel is reasonable, you cannot ask for a redo after I would have given you the answers. Okay, that's the whole point. You ask for help before I give you the answers, not after. So we can't let you do a redo of that question after I give you the answers. So if you do have to do a redo, we have 1 or 2 persons that would have gotten below 70. So they are doing redos, but they have to select another question. Okay, so it is good that most of you so far would have sent in your homework. You know where you stand in terms of how many points you would have gotten for the homework, and for the most part, most persons got reasonable grades and are going into the exam with at least 14 points. So that's good. Okay. Okay. Any questions? We all clear on the homework?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
You all sound so sad. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you're inside. Okay, so my next concern is that you are, nobody has the 5% specific organization. This is class 3. Your last class is a week away. Next week is class 4, where we will cover chapter 7 and 8. Or yes, class 4, and then there's just review. And so there won't be any opportunities to get your 5 points in your review. Most persons need this 5 points. This 5 points is the difference between a 65 and 70. This 5 points is the difference between a A and a B. And some of you are scholars because some of you already cry in the mail, Miss Bullet, I need these extra points. So it's going to be very difficult for you to get that A if you do not go into the exam with at least 25 points. Okay, so I am hoping that some of you are going to get the 5% today, because next week we can't have the entire class trying to get 5%. So we'll probably cap it at 5 persons next week. If nobody else has their civic can get that 5 points today, then that's just it. But a lot of persons need these points going into the exam to be successful. Okay, so I see one hand raised. That's Opal. Go ahead, Opal.
Sorry, I clapped by accident.
Okay.
I do have a question though, in reference to the networking. You said the 5% for networking. So what we will do would be to let you know what happened during our meeting.
Yeah, but normally if you go to Toastmasters, they have a word for the day. So we want you to come back with the speaker, the word for the day, and give us an overview of what was discussed. Confirm that you would have introduced yourself and tell us if you would join or if you found it beneficial or not. So there are 5 things that we expect from you.
Okay,
repeat that.
Sorry, what if they don't ask for you to introduce yourself?
You have to ask to introduce yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to say good evening. I'm just visiting, and a lot of persons say, this is a part of my class and I'm going to get some points for networking. And so I hope by the end of this session, I would, we'd be able to share contacts. So I would be able to meet some like-minded persons. And that's all. You don't have to be pushy or anything about it, but and the whole point is to network, right? If you want to find points.
All
Yeah.
right, thank you.
Okay, so that's 5 of you next week. This 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't want the entire class, coming next week and trying to get that 5%.
Oh, Miss Bullet, I could get my 5% this week for my article loop.
Yes, most persons have participation points. So go ahead. Let's get those participants. So nobody has their 5% for the civic organization.
Not yet, but I do know that a few of us were supposed to go to a scheduled meeting this week. So I know you're saying only 5 persons next week, but you may be a little over 5. I don't know.
Okay, good. Okay, very good. So I'm glad that you're going to support each other. So I'll make sure everybody comes with a takeaway and everybody participates. What I've been getting is, my Miss Bullet, I've been, but my internet wasn't working and I catch the end or a bunch of excuses. Remember, it's a bonus point. So if you're gonna get a bonus, you have to come with, good information to get your bonus. Okay? Okay, so who read the newspaper and wants to share so I can add you to the list?
I did.
I did.
Okay, very good.
So that's 2 of us.
Okay, so go ahead. Go ahead, Deandra.
Okay. The article I read was basically about the strike with the airport. I guess everyone would have known about that, or at least heard about it, where they had 200 plus staff members calling sick, not just in, even in the Family Islands, they say 90% plus of their staff call out sick. And the reason they're saying this was done because the government failed to provide money union officials says was owed, and they failed to conclude industrial agreements. Now, the thing is though, Justice Denise Lewis Johnson, she deemed these actions as illegal. So at the end of it, if they're saying they're not coming back to work tomorrow because the court already ruled, or she already ruled it as illegal, they could be accountable not just to the airport authority for disciplinary actions, but also to the Supreme Court as willfully going against something that the Justice Denise Lewis Johnson would have said. And also the Deputy Prime Minister, he also chimed in, Chester Cooper, because he's in charge of tourism and aviation. And he said the timing was awful. Now, the reason why he's saying this is because TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, they happened to be inspecting the airport yesterday when that happened.
No, this was strategic. That was in the timing.
Exactly.
They did it.
They
right
know.
there to pressure them.
Exactly. They did it for a reason. So
Yeah.
he's saying it's badly timed, but anyone who read it could understand that, okay, they know this is when they're scheduled to be
Audited.
right. So that's when they call it.
What better time not
Exactly.
And this is why each of them got a 6 slip. So I understand what the justice is saying, but are you truly going to replace 200 persons?
Exactly.
Are you truly going to send 200 persons to jail? Like what prison do you hold them in?
That's 90% of the
No,
staff.
they're not.
So that's
Right.
not gonna happen.
Right. So they need to whatever their grievances are, go back to the table, start to negotiate, and hopefully, inflation as well as gas. I mean, it's a killer. So it is to drive all the way out to the airport. I know I worked at Life Key for the majority of my career, and we used to get gas allowance, and then all of a sudden they was like, we go add this to your salary. And so instead of giving us an increase, they technically cut out our gas allowance. So we was very disturbed by that. So they said, okay, you could get mileage, so that means we're not paying you to drive to work, but we are going to, if you have to go on behalf of the bank. So if the people went to the food store for the bank, they was writing up mileage.
Yep.
And rightfully so. We are lowly workers of the Bahamas. These are multi-million, 500, what did you say? Fortune 500 companies. So yeah, so I totally understand. Even the bus drivers, did y'all see that all the bus drivers were on strike as well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
they are saying that, the minister
Since
promised them,
2008, eh?
yeah, they haven't had a increase for more than 10-12 years, and the minister promised them a stipend, which I thought they would give persons a bus card, like that would be $1, and then you still only pay the $125.
Oh, I got it.
But apparently whatever solution she came up with was not satisfactory. And so, yeah, hopefully none of us got delayed trying to take the bus to work. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Okay, so
Afternoon, Ms. Bullard.
afternoon, how are you today?
I am so sorry. I thought we were going to get a new link every week. So I was waiting. And I even on the group chat, I asked if someone could send me the link, please. So I said, let me try the link from last week. And here I am. So sorry for my delay. I was trying to find the link.
Yeah, so no problem at all, but it is the same link, but Miguel still sends it out every week. So perhaps he just has not added you to the new.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's okay. So I
Yeah,
was able
but
to get on.
Yeah, just click on the whole link.
And that's what I did. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, very good.
Good
very
evening,
good.
everybody.
Good evening. Precious, how are you today? And Diasman, are you all well today?
Yes, ma'am. I'm great. Thank you. How's
Okay,
everyone?
Good.
Yes, ma'am, I'm
Awesome.
good. Thanks for asking.
Right. Okay, Diasman, yes. So always just click on the old link and you'll get right in. But Miguel probably has not added y'all to the because I think y'all two started last week. Okay, I had said previously, but let's go through everybody's newspaper, and then if any of you just joined have civic, I was telling persons that next week is the last week to get your 5%, and so please sit comfortably in the exam, get as much points as you could going into the exam to guarantee your success. Yeah, and then persons aren't reading the manual that I sent, the ICA manual on how to cite properly. And I know I put pages 17 to 19, but you actually need to read page 20 as well. And that teaches you the type of referencing that they use. And like I said, you get up to 30–40% off your paper if you don't reference properly. And so please read those papers in the chapter, and especially if you're gonna go all the way through, by the time you get the ICA, you should know how to cite and reference properly. Okay, go ahead, Latoya.
Sorry, I just wanted to share with my the
Newspaper
article.
Go ahead.
So, in addition to the gas thing, I found something really interesting where Cuba is having an issue with diesel. They have been sort of in a drought for a little while now, where persons have been lined up for like weeks at a time just to get gas, you know. So we are very
What's the reason
blessed.
for that? Because they get I thought they got gas and diesel from Venezuela, and Venezuela is
Actually,
the oil capital of the world.
the majority of their vehicles use diesel now because they can burn.
We lost you, Latoya. I can't hear you. Latoya? Okay, can anybody else hear Latoya? Diasmin, can you hear Latoya?
You guys can hear me?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
We can hear you now.
All right. But I was saying, normally we would use gasoline for our vehicles, but because they're driving a lot of old cars, they have transformed their gasoline engines into diesel engines. So it's making it hard for them because the diesel that they do get, it's usually sent for their like what is it
What,
called?
heavy equipment or the army or something?
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So now the persons who have vehicles that need the diesel, they have to line up weeks at a time sometimes, and they're not allowed to fill anything else except their cars, which is usually like about 16 gallons. And one person said that will last him about 3 days. You know what I mean? So what they did was they joined this WhatsApp group. So the persons that would live closer to the gas stations, they would go home and check in momentarily every so often to see their spot in the line. But it's really, really hard, especially for persons that live miles and miles away, because it's pretty much just to get them home and back for gas, or sorry, diesel.
Right. Did they
Right.
say anything about the price? Because
Uh,
when I was in Cuba 10 years ago, I know gas was 15 cents for locals and 25 cents for tourists. So I'm wondering, with this hike in oil and gas prices, I'm wondering if it is even affecting Cuba.
I didn't see that part. I didn't go
Okay.
all the way down, but I know that those lines are really, really long. Like someone was there for like 4 weeks, I think.
That's why I find that interesting because in Cuba, they normally like carpool and they normally like that be rather
one guy
on their own.
One guy, he actually,
yeah,
right, one guy, he actually converted his truck into a taxi in order for him to get other persons that live in their area to and from. So that's another thing that they were doing.
Okay.
Interesting. I know that's something that they normally do.
Yeah. And where did you find this information? Because normally a Cuban knows this out of Trinidad.
No, this was in the business section.
Oh, in the Guardian or the Tribune?
The Tribune, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was actually yesterday.
Okay, because the Cuban newspaper is the Gama. And Castro, when he was alive, used to write the entire newspaper because, you know, they were a communist country. Right. And so I'm wondering now, since he is past so many years, I wonder if the newspaper is still, I guess they have something. I have to do some research. I haven't paid attention to Cuba for a little while. So I find out who's now writing the paper and, you know, if it's legit or not. Because that's
I
the first
actually
thing.
I found that strange because, you know, like you say, we would normally not see anything about Cuba in our newspaper.
Correct.
So that really, you know, that really intrigued me.
Right. And so I always say too, when you read a body of work or, you know, a writing, you want to look at who the author is. And then you want to make sure that, you know,
This is
saying like the
Andrea
punch,
Rodriguez.
just saying like the punch, you want to Google the person and just make sure that they are credible. 'Cause
Credible.
you see, yeah. And you see that a lot of people are fictional writers. And then if they are part of a group, if you could look at a Catholic persons, the way they, you know, condemn people to hell versus the LGBT. So you want to read a little bit of history on who the author is, just to make sure it's not one-sided, you know, and that it's not secondary data. But very good, very, very interesting, Latoya. Thank you for sharing.
How do we feel about the industrial action that happened yesterday at LIPA?
We just that was let me see, let me tell you, we just discussed that. Deandra just discussed that. Yeah, we support people 100%, pay the people their money and they'll get back to work.
But then my
thing is, sending 200 people to jail. So
it impacted the operations one, and a lot of persons missed their flight. Like I knew a few people who was traveling yesterday and they literally missed their flight.
Blame the government today. Blame the government. Brave didn't miss his flight. He was in Miami.
Exactly.
Exactly. If anybody should have been stalled, it should have been him. He
should have been him. That's right.
He gone the day before.
And then also, I mean, I just was writing the bus drivers strike one, and the prices to go up to the fare go up to $2. And just strolling the social media, someone shared a story whereas a person gave them 75 cents for their bus fare, their car, their senior citizen's car, but he said, oh, don't give him 75 cents because you in government uniform and still going to work. Like, that doesn't mean that, you know, well, you have to pay the regular price, which is what, $1.25 now, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
$1.25 now, and you're a citizen regardless of what they're doing. Like, why would you attack someone because they still going to work? Maybe they still have to work, they still have bills, and they still have kids off to school and all these different things as to why they still working.
Right.
I know of a lot of people still working after past retirement age and
right. And so the discount is for senior citizens. There should be no stipulation whether you work or you do not work. Okay, so yeah. But the bus drivers do this gas is, and this diesel price is ridiculous. So they do need some help. So again, blame the government and they need to. Inflation is high, minimum wage is not increased yet. So, you know, they need a bus card or something to subsidize the bus fare because the people can't afford to pay it.
I have another question as it relates to everyone and as it relates to the industrial action. Like you say, you can't carry everyone to court.
I'd like to shake the doctor's hand who gave 206 slips. You think all them come from one doctor?
No. Definitely not.
You think one doctor said that? Who is this? Menace. Suppose they come from Menace.
That would be hilarious. That would be a big uproar.
I say,
but you can't take everyone to court for that.
I would like to meet this doctor who gives 200 and each 6 slip for 5 days. Who this doctor is?
But isn't that against the law?
Well, if it came from one doctor.
If it came from one doctor, yes. But everybody have their own doctor. So you may have like 5 coming from one doctor, 5 from the next. But you can't tell people who their medical doctor is.
Right.
You can't determine that.
Right. I bet minutes give all them 6 slips. But anyway, go ahead.
I'm sure.
It was just my question. I mean, like, I'm wondering, like, okay, people miss their flights. Like, do we have to, as the Bahamian government, to cover the cost for those persons because the airport was crowded?
They won't. The airline will probably because they can't, it's one without the next. So the airline should compensate, and then the airline should then go after the government, you know, because it's really their responsibility to have their workers was out because of industrial action. So you know, work out your grievances with your people. Tell at least you could get them to come to work. It
But
has
they
to be
went and
really
they got
bad.
a court order to make them come back.
Yeah, but can you really make what you could do with 200 people? Fire them or put them in jail?
Everyone entitled to sick days, everyone entitled to
Oh,
vacation
there
days.
you go.
But
So
they went to court to say, well, I don't think what I heard earlier, not everyone returned, but you know, operations is kind of back to the norm at 4:30 this morning when it was time to go back. But I feel as if the court order thing was wrong, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, if the people have to do this to get their point across, or for you to see us as a people and hear our concerns, I mean, I agree with them 100%.
yeah, and I was very surprised at Keith Bell's demanding of them coming back to work. I was like, really, sir? Shouldn't you be saying, listen, work with us, we can work with you all. We could try and make a better deal. Just give us a couple of days. You know, he was very
And I can speak
demanding and-
personally about him. That's not his character. So that had me in shock as well.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, he's a very
for
passive
the law,
person.
yeah, he worked in a
Yeah.
law firm for us. That's not his character.
Yeah, but he was stern and he was quoting under section, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
This is a crime and you could be, I said,
yes.
I said, what's going on here? I was shocked, but anyway,
A few
Yeah.
months change Mr. Bell, because that's not
right away, right away, right away. But okay, nevertheless, let's see what happens. But I doubt they could do, they'll be backing up the wrong tree to do anything with those people, because this was what unions do. You know what I mean? If it has, there's industrial action, if you do not pay the people, or that you can't come to an understanding. So you know, every other organization that would have gone on strike should have gone to jail then. They are like, police cannot go on strike. Prison officers, like, they can't go on strike. They are not, they don't have unions. They have associations or something like that, but they don't strike. So if the airport authority is unionized and can strike, then they need to fix their laws, or you know.
last year the prison had something to that effect too, you know. If you remember.
With prison officers on strike.
Yeah, last year they had
No,
something.
they wanted
They went up to the
they
minister.
wanted the commissioner or the prison, or what you call him, the person who was in charge of the prison removed.
It was something that they had to settle for, and they actually went up to the national security ministry on JFK.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. Okay.
I think they were taking too long to get their contracts renewed, and a lot of them were there for years before they got their contract. So yeah, they did have like a sit out or something.
Yeah, I
Right.
remember. But they must have locked the prisoners down that day and say the prisoners didn't have an exercise. But I don't think they just leave them to manage themselves. You know what I mean? But hopefully.
Right.
But in most cases, everyone don't participate.
Yeah, management can't. It's just the entry level staff. So the managers, which are like 5 compared to 200, would have to run it, you know what I mean? Check
Yes,
the
ma'am.
bags one by one. And so that would really slow down, especially on a busy day.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, very, very good, ladies. Keep abreast of what's happening in the country. Yasmin, go ahead. No, Yasmin's not there. Okay.
Sorry, I am here. My
Mhm.
phone is, I broke my phone this morning. The whole screen is cracked. So I'm working with half of a device.
Okay.
I'm-
I know you all young people can't live without these phones. You can make it.
No, I fell asleep with my kids. My daughter, she wasn't feeling well, and it was in the sheet. So when I pitch up this morning, waking up late, it fly and it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So sorry, but oh, Jesus. You get, hello?
Hello, we're still here. Go ahead. Okay, yeah, you break.
Hi, it coming.
Yeah, it coming in and out. Okay, try to get it sorted out and we'll get back to you at the end. So let me see how many persons we have. About 9 persons here now, and like I was saying, next week is the last week to get your 5%, and we don't want more than 5 people. We don't want the whole last class with persons trying to get 5%. Okay, so really do your best this week to go to your civic organization, and so you can sit comfortably in the exam. Okay.
Miss Bullock, can I ask you a question on that, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Like I said, I tried contacting, oh boy, Toastmasters. No one responded. I think someone in the group chat said they had the same issue. And I think Precious or Callie sent something just now before the class saying Rotary, you have to attend 3 classes.
Yeah, that was
before
me,
the-
sorry.
Yeah.
That was me.
So-
So what it is, sorry, what it is you could visit, but they're saying that if you choose to become a member, you would have to sit 3 classes and then not classes, sit 3 meetings and show that you're interested. And that's why actually both Toastmasters and the Rotary. I didn't get anybody from Kiwanis yet, but that's the information I got. And most of the meetings are held this evening. However, I got a link for today, but like I explained to the president, we're in class during their meeting time. So there's another meeting tomorrow at 6.
Okay,
I think I would have sent that as well.
tomorrow at 6, okay.
Yeah, but that's an installment meeting. And he was saying to me that normally the first 2 weeks when they do their installments, and they had just started their Toastmasters meetings. So it would have been a kind of hectic to get in between last week and this week. So now I understand why it was a hard time to get through. But he did say he was going to send me a link, another link for tomorrow.
Okay.
And every day of the rest of the week.
Okay.
So I'll be sending that as I get it.
And we can just use that link and log on and attend
Yeah.
that meeting Zoom. Perfect.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Bullock,
Welcome.
Yes, go ahead. Okay, I don't know. I think it's Romisha, but
Hi, yes, that's me.
go ahead.
Okay. One thing I would like to be added to the group chat, please. I'm not in it.
Okay, who is the admin for the WhatsApp group?
Lanique.
Lanique? Okay, so could you put your
Number
My
in
number.
in the chat? And
Okay,
Lanique
no
will
problem.
add you.
All right. And then I also had an article that I read over yesterday in the business section that I wanted to share.
Go ahead.
All right. So it wasn't as juicy as everybody else's articles, but it was just like a like tip-based like information that businesses can use to get their employees more on board with compliance training. So the title of the article was Building Compliance for Global Workforce. And the person who gave insight on this was Derek Smith. So basically what he was saying was, in today's age, businesses, in order for businesses to be more successful, they need a diverse as well as more engaged staff. So they can do that by training staff, allowing more training sessions to be more accessible as well as diverse to accompany persons in the workplace, so that it's not so difficult to attend a live training or to go physically to a training. Everything can be made online, more easy for persons to attend.
Okay, and very good. Yeah, and I
I
agree.
saw that too. That was really nice.
Yeah, so training is the key. I mean, how else do you learn, and then ensuring that persons walk away and comprehend and are able to carry out what they learn. A lot of times we train persons, but we never check sustainability. And what sustainability is today you learn something so it's fresh. If something was to change a month from now, would you still understand,
Remember it.
or would you need to be retrained? So this is why normally in audit, we check 90 days to make sure that you are still continuing on with a process that you would have learned, and you're still carrying out the task correctly. Okay, so training is very important. And if you can't get in a Toastmasters or a Rotary or Kiwanis group this week, you can go online to any of the regulators. And of course, remember, by now you should have joined the FinTech Hub and know what it is all about, and know what, could speak knowledgeably to it. And so if you're serious about getting these points, I will allow, you can go into the media room and look in the training. Well, let's see what's happening this week. So this CRIF Information Services Bahamas, do we know what that is? We said that is the, what is it? What are they gonna give Bahamians now? Credit ratings. Yeah, and so that's what this CRIF is all about. Consultation document, the carbon credit trading bill. And again, this is important for compliance professionals to be aware of all the new technology, and now these carbon credit, this new, it has to deal with, what do you call it thing? Saving the oceans and all of this. And so
Global warming?
no, there's climate change, yeah.
Okay.
And so on your financials, there's a section that is entitled Goodwill. And if we look at brands like Coca-Cola or Fendi or Mercedes-Benz, of course, in their financial statement, their brand is very strong. And so they get goodwill, and then they do donations and all sorts of charity and stuff like that. So they have collateral in that goodwill area. And so therefore, this will be, I don't know if it's going to be separate, but persons are reporting now their carbon footprint. And I think regulators are going to start enforcing, recycled paper, saving stuff online and what have you. So consultation documents means that they're actually going to make this a law. And so this is a white paper that they put out for the community or the industry to read and give, any ideas or any changes that need to be made. So you can probably read that bill and then let me know your thoughts on it. Okay. And it's a new thing. It's a new thing that, having your carbon credits or climate change and, or, awareness with your staff, making sure you say we recycle and we do this and that. So it's going to be checked to make sure that we're being good citizens. Or you can go into the training, and there were there was a webinar, and the whole video is there. Okay, and you can watch that, and you can tell me, what our good Prime Minister said in this webinar, or what was the point of it, or and again, like I said, these are the things that you need to learn, because these are new products and services, and there are risks associated with these products and services. So, make sure you understand the risks associated with them. Make sure when people come and have conversation with you, when they say, Teresa, what is your thoughts about the digital assets? And you're like, the digital asset, what that is? We want to be able to speak knowledgeably. If you go to the central bank website, come and tell me about the sand dollar and why we should all be using it. Okay, so that's some ideas for next week, and hopefully not all 10 of you to try to get this 5% in one go. And like I said, I want good conversation and good detail. Please don't come with half a story. Okay, give me some intriguing news. Okay, Shamara, go ahead. No.
Sorry,
you
Miss
know?
Bullet, I forgot I had it on mute. My article, can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was reading on, there was an article about NIB. Well, obviously, we had to go up on contributions recently. And they had an article speaking of how they're gonna have to start liquidating the assets in order to fund the benefits. And in the long term, it's gonna have to increase again because basically NIB doesn't have any money. They can't look for any more investments right now because they don't have the money they need to liquidate the assets to cover the expenditure, like pay out benefits and stuff.
That's the same story. NIB has changed the law and they have promised that every 2 years, they're gonna increase like survivor's benefit, disability benefit, death benefit, pregnancy death benefit and stuff like that. So
They're making it seem like they have no money, like they literally, the assets and stuff, they have to liquidate it just to use that.
But remember now, NIB used to have a lot of money, but they used to just borrow it up, build buildings, do all kind of foolishness with it. And now NIB had its own problem, which was the pandemic, where we had to pay all those persons for 2 years. Right. And so now they have to find a way. That was the reserves. And this is, like I say, 100 countries had to borrow money from the IMF. So yeah, after a while, after they collect some of this RAC money, and if they really truly collect some of this real property tax, and they put it in the right place.
And that's the issue. I think the issue is the real property tax not being paid the way it should be. And that's why the flow is not,
Yeah, but they never ever collected that. And that's very difficult for them to collect now because, on the political campaign trail, they always use that as a gift back to Bahamians. So they say it's $17 million uncollected. I hope need the poor people to pay bills. So some poor people, they can put some pressure on and they can let the big boys go. So they ain't gonna get nowhere near the 17 million. So let's.
But Ms. Bullet, if NIB is so broke, why don't they implement like an income tax where they tax the people who are making the most money a little higher than the people who are making a little bit of money?
Does that happen? Now tell me, please. Only poor people.
I mean, they should though. It's an ideal.
They couldn't do it in the United States.
They really
Only
should.
poor people is pay bills. Biden tried to get 1% more from the ultra high net worth persons, and they went crazy and they went berserk, right?
But I think in the UK it's different though. Don't they have like scales where the more funds you make, the more your tax?
The UK is different. But like Ms. Bullet said, you could imagine in the States, like everybody wants the equality, equal. Well, if you say 35%, don't care how rich I am or what I have.
Right, it's 5% across the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and they don't believe in paying. They say making people lazy. If everybody, if the rich have to pay more, these people will just go on Section 8 and they'll just go and get food stamps and stuff like that. Like a lot of people, that's their argument, and then rich people don't like governments and they don't like taxes because, and they don't like insurance because the government is just steal the money over and over and over and don't apply it to where it's supposed to go. If our government still stop thieving, we'll be okay. But the last time the PLP was in power, $10 million was missing from PHA, 600,000 from the post office, 6 million from road traffic. If the people would stop thieving, and the Auditor General office up to the roof with all these different things, then you see Elmer Chase Campbell thief the checks out of the tourism and go and cash them. Then you see some consulate general, not the Auditor General, but he going to Washington now to see, but this rug and this office that costs must be $16,000 and $17,000, some consulate general. So if they stop all these thieving, then you know what I mean, and they apply the money, fix these potholes, pay the people, and protect the schools and build the hospital, then you don't.
And build a hospital, that's important.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You don't mind paying the extra tax dollar, but they gotta fix the corrupt, the corruptness first, and what's going on and the thief, and they gotta stop that because look at Canada. Canada calling for immigrants, right? And typically we only have 400,000 persons. Countries call for immigrants because those immigrants help make up your economy and help put more tax dollars into your economy, right? But in the Bahamas, what we just have back after so many years. And foreigners, we can't protect our borders. So foreigners come in left, right, and center. They go to children in school, they go to the hospital, they benefit, but they don't pay any tax. If you move to Canada or to the United States, 15 to 35% goes to the government. There's nothing you could do to stop that. And after 15 or 35% go to the government, you have to live and you have to eat. And only in the Bahamas you could build a shanty town. Only in the Bahamas you could, all the money services business line. You ever go on a cash and go on a Friday?
Boy,
Yeah, you know one
$15 and all
thing
these
there, the
things.
all
line
the
outside.
Spanish,
Thank you.
all the Spanish speaking
The
people
line
And you know what
outside.
that means? The money is going out
leaving the
of
country.
Country, yeah.
Okay.
But Ms. Bullock, can I tell you, even if you go to those places now, well, I can't speak for MoneyGram, but I can speak for Western Union. They make it difficult now. So you could be an immigrant here, want to send money to this person here, or you could be a legal person here in the Bahamas, but you want to send monies off to someone who's in America, or they want to send it back to you. They actually, I think they said the central bank put mandate on them now. Well, hey, like if you travel and someone wants to send you money, okay, who you sending this money to? We need their itinerary. If they're a citizen of where you sending this money to, okay, we need the proof of address. We need all of this to go before we send this money. So now they're kind of tightening up on letting the money out of the country, because if you can't provide certain information, you can't send. So the only next thing is that they can do is use someone who's from that country to accept on their behalf.
Right, but think about it. Why would these people be miles and miles away from their families? They, because jobs in their country, and they come
And
from
that's
anywhere
another
else.
thing.
So they
Yeah,
come here
yeah.
so they could send the money back to their family.
Yeah, but
Okay?
they
Like I said,
tighten up.
we
They
can't
tighten up a
protect
bit.
our borders. Every time we get a boat, the defense forces break it up. Okay, and then we is a transit country, so we always come with packing up and running to Canada. Let's learn from them. Why are they calling for immigrants? Because they need more people to build up their tax dollar. We need to do the same thing. Yeah, come. We can't stop you from coming, but you can't have no illegal electricity. You can't have no illegal water, and you definitely can't have no shanty town. Only in the Bahamas you could do that. If the Bahamas, like I say, mimic Canada, that's all we used to do. We copy the Netherlands law, Cayman law, Luxembourg law. Let's copy Cayman law.
Yeah.
Let 50% stay in this country. You have to eat, you have to live.
Yeah.
Not no shanty down. And then I think we'd be a step further than we are. And stop some of this borrowing. And then just like how Colby Davis unwind this taxi thing that's been locked down for 40 years, get a ragging like money from that one family that getting it. Stop this foolishness, but 8 people own the lottery. In every country is a national lottery. Why 8 Bahamians? We are a socialist nation. We are not a capitalist nation. Why 8 Bahamians have the licenses for gaming?
And then another thing is, these same people you are now putting in a position, they have it. But for example, Sabas, you put him in a position to make a salary for what? This man is filthy rich.
Okay, and that he in that position so he could change laws to make sure that his licenses stay his licenses. When you go to Florida, what it say? The Florida lottery, right? The Washington lottery.
Lottery. Why don't we have a national
only
lottery?
In the Bahamas, 8 people own the lottery, and they report 2 years ago that they made $550 million. And they share that in 8. They didn't share it in 400,000. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of fixes. They need to recall those licenses, and they need to recall our natural resources. And then we'll see a change. So let's see if Colby Davis can do that. Then I might vote for the PLB, because I support now 100% with them taxi plate. If she could get that them licenses back, then they
But Ms. Bullitt, you have some people even in high ranks who would own these franchise and rent these things out to the Bahamian people and still gain. And you know, you have a few in the bunch who would fight on that.
Let's go back. Who would fight?
Insurance
Let
background.
me tell you something. We paying this, everybody is saying, my God, you all have 90% summer. On Christmas Day, you only can wear your sweater for 2 hours because you're hot. Okay? If we have sunlight, how long? 12 hours a day. Why are we paying for fuel, for electricity? You know why? Because somebody tied up who own a gas station or who own oil, who done invest all their money, and they would lose if they stop this foolishness with buying gas for electricity.
Ms. Bullock.
And put solar system out there. That's why. Because these friends, family, and lovers, and these people who would throw them $5 million for their campaign. That's why we paying for electricity.
Ms. Bullitt, you sound just as passionate or a little bit more so. I am at a point now where I believe that every government is corrupt.
I agree.
You say this all the time, friends, family, lovers. It's absolutely, it's depressing how if you're not connected to someone in this town. Yes, I know networking. Yes, we all need someone who we know who can put a word in for us or whatever. But it's absolutely sad how this friends, family, and lovers thing, this is the mantra for the Bahamian elites. And who is suffering? We can talk on and on. We can go on and on ad nauseum. But I have yet to see where the change, it's only getting worse. People are getting more and more frustrated. People are getting poorer. The middle class is now almost totally fleeced. There's hardly a middle class in this country. And no one seems to be paying attention. The middle class is who is holding the country up. Because like you say, the wealthy, they don't pay. They get off. They always get concessions.
Only poor people pay bills. Only poor people go to jail. I am telling you that right now.
I am very, very cynical as to what's going on. But I don't say anything anymore because for me, I say, doesn't matter.
That's just it. They don't want
when I say I don't say anything anymore, like in public, because I say, Jesus, it's not getting any better.
Like-minded people to join together and come. And
and then you're branded like your troublemaker. Like I really appreciate what that lady's doing, the lawyer. Oh, the woman who was to the airport the other day with Delta. Daxon. I appreciate what she does.
Yeah, but what I like Marie Daxon, and I support some of the things that Lincoln Bain say. What I don't like is that they formed a political party, and then they would be
hidden agenda.
Yeah, so they would be on the
same than the people, right?
Exactly.
So you gotta, what side you are of the fence? Are you for the people? Then you shouldn't be the government. And what we need are lobbyists. You're going Google.
It's like they play in the middle.
Lobbyists in the UK, they hold these politicians' feet to the fire. They remind them.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, they prosecute them when they don't do what they're supposed to do. So I agree, Teresa. We can talk till
the cows come home.
And kingdom come, and that's all we do is talk.
And I can hear the passion in your voice. I can hear the frustration, and you're not the only one. But when will it, like? Okay, it's sorry guys, I don't want to take a lot of time, but I was wanted to talk with my newspaper, the article. But I think I want to change it now. I was talking about how Musk was supposed to buy Twitter, but now he's changing his mind because he's saying then Twitter wasn't fully they didn't disclose because apparently there seems to be a lot of false accounts. So he's saying they're overstating their real valuation. But I want to change it now to I watched Cartel Bank last Wednesday evening, remember after the class with the HSBC, right? And I'm tying it into this, that the government, the Department of Justice, HSBC was proven to have laundered money, everything illegal you can imagine. And they were just fined money which was like a drop in the bucket to them.
But the ASO was broke when they said 1.9 billion. Everybody gasped. Everybody's like, what? Just be broke.
And they got a slap on their wrist.
On the wrist. And that's it. Every single time you think something's going to happen, the wealthy walk away. What do you think that's going for people who trying to be honest and whatever, and they see the wealthy getting away? all the time.
It's a discouragement.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
but
the
listen,
world-
and
Mhm.
so heavy.
I'm so upset about you.
No.
I don't think you know how deep this goes with me because I
So
said,
Teresa, you
is
have
anyone
that
honest?
funny
Is
thing.
anyone honest nowadays? Is anyone honest and upright?
No, and this is why we are rearing up a group of ethical,
Yes.
educated persons. And
Yes.
this is why I say, even if compliance is not for you, get your circle together, get your network together,
Yes.
ethical, because you need at least 20 persons across the board in an
Yes.
institution to
Ethical
weed
and
out
who can't be
all
bought?
this corruption.
Who
Yeah,
can't
and
be
say-
bought? Because a lot of people are
Right.
for sale, you
Yes.
know?
Yes, so compliance is heavily, like I say, as you move up, we have 2 chapters on ethics alone. So you can't, everybody is saying, I have no choice but to join up. I say no. As soon as we being educated now, we can beat them soon. It'll be enough of us to rule out most of the corruption or eliminate most of the corrupt people.
I hope I live to see that day. Ms.
Yeah,
Fuller.
you will speak it, you will. And that's why, listen, if you don't have home training, it starts at home. If you don't already know the Lord and have some foundation, when you get out there and they can chime you with the glitz and the glamour and the money,
Yes.
you're
Yes.
going, okay?
Yes.
That's true.
So please, I spoken to most of you, and most of you seem to be focused, intellectual. Please, there's too many corrupt persons out there. We need somebody to make a difference in our institutions and then in our country and the government. Okay.
Well, and didn't someone say when persons are being hired, I don't know if it's the Securities Exchange, like they do a lot of background check, and if they have any loans that are like in arrears, they don't get hired or something like that.
But I don't think they could go as far as having loans. I mean, I don't
Personal,
now with the credit bureau coming out,
Right.
they can check, but I don't know if you could. I mean,
can you deny giving someone a job because they
yeah, because they just can't pay, Shamara. They just can't pay. But let me tell you what has happened in this Bahamas. I don't know if you all remember the other day, Youth Pastor Johnson was arrested from the Ministry of Finance. Right. Yes. So Youth Pastor Johnson was arrested from Scotiabank, and I think Fidelity, and from Commonwealth Bank. So tell me how Youth Pastor Johnson get in the Ministry of Finance. And I realized, and I started to look at this. Remember, I told you a lot of my bestseller, very close colleagues get fired for stealing by reason of employment. They was on a job the next day. Okay. And it's very hard to find a job without a record. So how are these people finding a job with a record and 3 and 4 jobs?
When you find out, can you tell me, please?
But let me tell you what I found out with this.
When you find out, can you tell me?
Because listen,
friends, families, and lovers. That's it there.
Friends, family, and lovers, and then you need the 2 signatures. And so if I already is a thief, and I know we can thief this money and get away with it, and the government don't ever do nothing.
You build
I hired a second thief.
That's true. You're an asset.
I always tell my husband, I said, I believe that when you're honest, people don't like you. They don't want you around.
True. They do not like it.
Or when you're
they
ethical,
do not like it.
You're gonna be a dent in their wheel. So they don't want you around. When you're too honest, who she thinks she is, because they know if they want to plan to do something illegal, you probably wouldn't.
They cannot expose it to you.
Even on some of these jobs, Ms. Bullet, I can be honest.
I have a co-worker like that now.
When you two upstanding, they don't want you.
Let me tell you, because I worked at Royal Bank for 16 years, and I speak highly of Royal Bank for the days when I was there. But you know how many times we sit there, and there was a job posting, and the same idiot is get the job over and over and over again. And not till I reach in the Swiss bank, and I overheard like the expats talking, where they, say divide and conquer. So they know that this person is a complete idiot. So they will put you in charge. They'll put the idiot in charge of the people to frustrate them, the smart people to frustrate them out the system. Jesus. Okay. And so they never get replaced. And so that's why you have these expats sitting up for 30 and 40 years, because no Bahamian qualified. The qualified Bahamian couldn't take the foolishness that you subjected them to every day. And so that's what they do for job security.
You
Okay, they don't plan for retirement. They don't plan for what they could do after they have to leave the Bahamas. So therefore they sit up here and they stay and they make it seem as, oh, it's so many infighting with the Bahamians. It's so much black crab syndrome, and they will use one Bahamian against all the rest of the Bahamians. Okay,
Nicolette, I work in
so
offshore banking
gullible.
all my life, and you are talking very much the truth.
I'm telling you,
I've seen
we
it with
so
my own eyes.
gullible. They give one of us a position, but
Mhm.
they know the one who have the
Uncle
position
Tom.
can have no sense.
Uncle Tom. Mhm.
Don't have no sense, and so you go frustrate the people with sense. You go frustrate the people who do their work.
Tell
And
me
they
why
will, that's
expat
job
should be here for
security.
20 years. An expat contract should be
Yep.
5 years maximum. Tell
No,
me why they
3.
gotta be here. Once
3.
they train the Bahamians, they're supposed to leave. Tell me why
Any
they have
Bahamian
20.
ever get trained? Any Bahamian?
When you, again,
None.
when you find out, you can tell me, please.
No Bahamian ever get trained by an expat. None.
Never.
And the Department of Immigration is supposed to come in and make sure it's done. It has never happened.
An expert was supposed to train me. He went to HR, said he's not training me. He never trained me.
Okay. But
Okay.
in Cayman, they have 60,000 people. 30,000 were permits and 30,000 citizens. Okay, and in Cayman, you was an expat for 7 years and 7 years only. There's no way you could extend that. You can't come back as a consultant. You can't come back as nothing. That job for that Caymanian person. Okay, or they bringing in somebody fresh. But you ain't gonna set up in Cayman for 30 years. Okay, so it's a lot of things that need to be fixed. There's a lot of things that we've been advocating for a very long time, and there are a lot of systems that are blocked up. Okay, we cannot join them. We have to be them. Okay, we have to educate ourselves and stand firm and be ethical and trust me, it'll change. Okay. So stop being frustrated every day. Every job you go on, there's a demon waiting for you. So, you have to stay in prayer, no matter where you go.
Miss Bullet,
Wow.
I can speak honestly.
Wow.
Even at my job, and I keep saying, oh, I wanted to put in this amount of time. And after this amount of time, that's it for me. And like you said, and like my system is having a conversation. I was like, Lord, I've been to one place before and I had my fair share of humans, but I've never seen it like where I'm at now. She said, well, this phase 2. So you can imagine when you excel and you go higher, it become worse. So I was like, Jesus. I said, so you know what? Let me start learning how to deal with them.
Yeah,
that I have now.
Yeah, the change has to be in you.
Yeah.
Like they say, be the change you want to see. It definitely. You just have to accept some change and know that this is the way it is. No matter where you go, somebody waiting to mess with you. Somebody waiting to destroy you. Somebody will be jealous of you. No matter where you go. So you stay right there.
And you could be so kind-hearted from day one. Who she thinks she is?
Yes.
So true.
And continue to be kind-hearted. Continue to learn. And let me tell you that you have to go with your whole armor of God every single day.
Yeah.
Okay. And like I say, be wary of your friends, because every time I got bite, it was from a friend who was coming to my house, who children sleep into my house there. My children sleep into their house and we is buddy, and we going to lunch every day.
Wow.
Okay. And these are the people who either cause you go to jail or lose your life. Okay.
That's
so
true.
Please be, go with your full armor of God and go to war, and you have to make your home paradise. That's where you have control. That's where your outlet is. Okay. So I tell my children, when I come from work, I need to unwind. Give me an hour before they run out to the car. They used to be running out to the car, mommy this, mommy that. I say, stop. I need to unwind. Okay. We then go home and we talk about these people all night. So our husbands hate to talk to us, and our children, my children afraid to work. They say, mommy, please open up a company and please don't send us out there, because this is a horror story. And so when they was like 10 and 11 years old, I had to stop coming home every day and talking about evil people all day long. Okay, and start to pray and teach them how to, you ain't dealing with the flesh, you're dealing with principalities and demons. You
Ms.
know,
Bullock,
so
can
you
I
only
ask
could go and pray for them.
Can I ask you one quick
You'll
question?
die trying to fight them.
Can I ask you one quick question about networking? How do you deal with networking when you have to deal with people, these type of people, but you almost get sick to the stomach when you think about them, but you have to network with them and you have to deal with them on a professional level.
Let's see everything what you need to know in the Bible. You have to read your Bible and increase your faith.
I do.
Who did Jesus have around him? Judas, who betrayed him, Peter, who denied him.
Wow.
Right? Did Jesus know that Peter would deny him?
Yes.
Did he know that Judas would betray him?
Yes.
He still walked with them, right?
Wow.
Right? And so
That's
just everything you need to know in your Bible.
That's deep.
Okay? And so that's how you deal with them. Let them execute their plan. They have an agenda. You covered in the blood.
And in the
So worry for
process,
them.
they would execute themselves.
And there you go, because that's what happened, right?
Yeah, that's
He
all.
committed
always what
suicide,
happens.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Peter asked for forgiveness. Judas committed suicide. So some people, you have to know the difference between somebody, like they say, who had a bad day or who have bad intentions.
That's true.
The Bible says the heart is wickedly deceitful.
Not,
Yeah.
that's right.
Right? Your heart deceitful, my heart deceitful. So Peter had a bad day. Judas had bad intentions.
Ms. Bullock, you preaching, man. You preaching.
Yeah, amen. Let's go back to compliance. Yes, but no. Or I want you all to be, when you leave this class, be well-rounded.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of us go into work every day. We hate our jobs. We hate the people that we sit next to. And some people just commit suicide.
Wow.
Okay. Some people just fall into a depression.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to rebuke all of that in the name of Jesus. Okay. I tell my children, this is my paradise. If I have to talk about work for 5 seconds, if I want to vent on the way from Life for Key, I call a girlfriend on the phone and I scream to the top of my lungs.
Wow.
And I get it out before I bring that negativity in my house, because it was, my whole family was like, what happened today? Like a doom and gloom report.
Wow.
Okay. And so stop it. Don't bring it home. Don't tell your husband, and definitely don't tell your children. Vent on
Ms.
your way
Bullard,
home and keep your sacred space.
but you know, earlier this year, me and my husband ended up having to share a vehicle. And I had to explain that to him. Like, I need time to unwind for myself before I dive into my everyday work.
Yep.
You know, I go through all types of people, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then when I jump out of that environment, I jump in the car with you, who have your issues that you want to put on me. And then from out the car, I come in the house where the children are there. I need time.
Wow.
I almost got to that point of breaking.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And I had to say, you know what? No, this is not going to happen. I need to take it. It wasn't given to me, so I took it. You
So,
know,
and you have
it.
to do that.
Everybody needs it.
Women are
Everybody.
always the sacrificial lamb.
Correct.
Lamb,
If you don't take it,
exactly.
if you don't
No
take
one
it,
is going to give it to
Get
you.
tired. Yeah.
when you get to menopause
Exactly.
age, a lot of women just have mental breakdowns. Okay, so no, for true, you are laughing.
I think I was
But it's
almost
so
there.
true. But it's
It is
so
Right,
true.
and so no, for
That's
true.
so true.
Listen
It's
to
so
me.
true.
I say, listen, these are our children. I don't keep children on Saturdays. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
My week I cut off this homework and all these stories about, oh, I need this success. I don't, at a certain point on Sunday, I stop marking. Like, you have to take your time, and one day I just need for myself. I like to go to the beach. No, nobody is going to go to the beach. I go to the beach by myself.
By myself.
Okay, I like expensive dinners. When I get paid, I am not gonna give you all the money for the bills. I going out, I need at least one expensive dinner a month. I need one
Well, I
pair
had
of
that
shoes.
bad up a long time.
No, but that's
I
just
had
it. I
that
need
bad up a
one.
long time.
Yeah,
One,
I
at
need one
least
pair.
one paycheck.
I wouldn't call it a bad
See
habit.
you.
No, I know. I say it like that because a lot of people call it that. But you need that. You've
that
been
because-
working and toiling every day for everybody else. Take something for yourself.
I just said that to myself today, just today. I always working, build this, that. and I'd watch associates. I'm not a friendly person. Let me not say I'm not friendly, but I just choose not to call everyone a friend. In my circle and everything, and I watch them go out, I watch you. I said, you know what? This is something, and even if you do it once.
That's right.
Yeah, because your children go always need, your husband go always need. I have a friend I trying to talk to right now. She just turned 45, and we were celebrating her birthday and everything. And she pulled me to the side and she burst out crying. I was like, it's your birthday, what happened? She said, I hate my husband and I hate my children.
She what? What she hate?
She said she hate her husband and she hate her children.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and it's a serious thing that she
That
deals
is
with.
easy to get to.
And guess why? Did she say the husband has come home with a new pair of tennis, a new iPhone, this, and then the bills always just have
All
to fall on her. She always have to pick up the slack. She always have to do this. And she said she just didn't imagine her life to be like this, because she makes good money. And she's like, it's like her money only for bills. And I tried to explain to her, as long as you wake up, you have a bill to pay. So don't ever worry about it. Get some financial coaching and organize yourself. But you have to do the things that make you feel good, because as women and mothers, we are always overlooked and we are the sacrificial lamb. Okay? So this your last month, you could buy something for yourself to school opening. And of course, all the money you have to go to get the children back to school. So if you don't treat yourself in July, you're going to forget the July and August. Right?
This course has been good for my mental health. I already feel better. I
can say
I thought it was just me suffering in the world with all these issues.
And that's what networking is all about. Because us as women, we have to stay together. We have to. If we don't talk to one another, we won't know. That it's a common denominator.
Life is very tough.
Latoya, my dear, all the people in my career who were terrible to me were all 90% of them are women.
Well,
because they uptight and they unhappy and they
exactly, and they try to shed it on everybody else.
Okay, so make sure that don't become you. Okay, do whatever. I caught
myself when I would come home, and simple as my shoes, my bag, I had a blanket in the front room just to get away from everyone. I would sit in the front room in the darkness. So I know I had to get myself together.
Yeah.
You have to.
And then they get a better you. They get, I explain to my children, let me unwind.
My house,
you get a better
come to me. It felt as though my house was closing in on me. There was no space. And it wasn't until I spoke to my co-worker. Exactly. I spoke to my co-worker and I was like, girl, I cannot do this anymore. I just ready to go. I want to be by myself. And I just say no to it. Everybody goes through this. Everybody goes. They don't talk about it. They try to make their lives.
Everybody want to be prim and proper and pretty.
Yeah, but
nobody's life is perfect. I don't care how it looks out there. No, I love my husband and my children.
I love my husband and I love my children.
Issues, but many days
my time is my time.
Just walk. Don't count lampposts. Just walk.
Yeah.
So we all go through something. Don't think you're the only one, my dear.
God is good, eh?
Yeah, so organize yourself let's say have a productive week and unwind and relax and feel good, then pick this up. I've met so many ladies in this class and even some men who didn't have help and was going from war to war to war, picking up the children, having to cook, the children sitting on their lap, doing the class, trying to pay attention, and they did not pass. And one lady cried. She said, I was the valedictorian. I only graduated 3 years ago from school. How did I fail this class? I said, because you have to cook every night. You cannot cook at 9 o'clock after you come out of class. You cannot rush from work to pick these children up, then come to class and then go cook and then make it to work tomorrow. You can't do it. So the next class, I tell her husband, come in. I need to see him. And luckily he was, he was receptive and he said yes. She could just, her husbands be, all she had to do was tell me. I didn't know she was going through this. I said, okay, but now I telling you.
They always say that, Miss They know.
I know. They always say that.
I know.
They know and they see the sign.
But he helped on the day. They then arranged that he would pick up 2 days from school And one day would be her school, one night for class, and then the next night for her to relax.
Mm.
And then he agreed that she didn't have to cook every night because he said he doesn't eat fast food. So on a Monday or Tuesday, she would just cook enough for 2 days. And that would still be her day. No cooking, no picking up no children, nobody bothering you. And you doing whatever makes you feel good. You
Mm.
have to do it. Okay? You have to. Okay, so now let's talk about chapter 5. Okay,
Yes,
but
yes.
we want everybody to be well. And if a part of you
Mentally
retain-
well,
yeah,
especially.
you have to be mentally well to retain any of this, and so you would give the best version of yourself.
Bullet, how often is the intermediate class per week?
It's once per week, but it's for
Still
10
once a
weeks.
week. Okay,
Yeah, once per week for 10 weeks.
okay. And
Right.
are they registering now? Because I think someone said that.
Yes, they are. So just call Miss Dean, and definitely when you go for your final, if you haven't registered and you're interested, just speak to Miss Dean and she'll sign you up. Okay. All right, ladies. So let's look at chapter 5, and I'll give you a good overview. But like I said, retention and comprehension is important. Okay. So in the world, there used to be a rules-based approach. They changed that to a risk-based approach because they saw that a rules-based approach was like a one-size-fits-all type of questionnaire that put everybody into a box where some didn't fit. Of course, this risk-based approach is based on the products and services that you offer, the number of staff you have, the number of countries you deal with, the number of accounts you have, okay? So they base it on the risk associated with the products and services that you offer, okay? So remember the 40 recommendations. The very first recommendation is recommendation 1, okay? And basically recommendation 1 says countries should assess their risk and then put controls in place to mitigate their risk, okay? And when I say countries should assess their risk, overall, our international regulator, Transparency International, as well as the Basel Committee, will give the country a risk rating. If the country has a high risk rating, then many countries on businesses say they can't do business with you. So we are in a bit of a jam because, of course, you know, all these laws came out in 2000. We used the staggered approach. By 2018, when they were really on our backs, was when we put the meat in our laws, where we updated and repealed and replaced to make these laws stick. And so we updated our FTRA section 5 with making a risk assessment mandatory. So the country has to do a risk assessment, the company has to do a risk assessment, and then we risk rate our customer, okay? So we're doing assessments at 3 different levels, okay? And so when,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Sorry, Ms. Bullock, you said country, company, and what's the other risk?
And
Company?
client.
Client, okay.
Yeah, okay. And so with the Bahamas, this is what our national risk assessment looks like, okay? As you could see, the first red flag, it's from 215 to 216, okay? This on the whole Bahamas, and this only 36 pages, okay? And remember I said, let's just always look at the table of contents, very vague, just some products and services. So this wasn't a real effective risk rating. However, our laws were not up to date then. And so they accepted it and they risk rated us as, let's see where the Bahamas is. This is the Basel Committee website, and this risk rates countries around the world. And so if we look at the legend, it says, if you 0 to about 4.7 is low, 4.6 to 7.76 is medium and medium high, and then everything above 7.9 is high risk, okay? So let's see, right here, Haiti, high risk. So of course we know a lot of persons or countries will not do business with Haiti. And where we, the Bahamas, 6.46. So we right at the tip of being high risk. And of course, we'll have investors saying we're not going to do business. Let me give you an example. Of course, during the pandemic, just before, we were trying to save money, and we realized that our traders were sitting in Bahamas. However, we were paying Switzerland $100,000 a year for our trading desk. So we said, you know, we want to save money and we want to eliminate our trading desk from Switzerland. We'll save $100,000. And so we went all over New York looking for a bank account. So we were talking to Morgan Stanley and we asked them if we could get on their platform, and they said, sure. They went to Transparency International or the Basel Index, and they said, your country is high risk. I tried to explain to them, our country is not high risk, it's medium high. They say, ma'am, the last risk assessment was for 2015 to 2016. This is 2019. This account is going to be open in 2020. If you can't give us an up-to-date rating, we cannot open this account because it's perceived that the Bahamas is high risk. Okay? And so therefore, we were unable to open that account because it was perceived that the Bahamas was high risk, and we could not prove because our national risk assessment was not complete. Okay, and this is why in 2018, when the laws were updated, we made sure that we put recommendation 1 in place and made the risk assessment mandatory. Okay,
Ms.
so
Paul, I have a question.
go ahead.
At work with insurance, this is we do compliance now, so we have to risk rate customers, but every customer have to be risk rated.
And you all started that this year, right?
We started that in 2019. Actually, it came into the insurance industry 2019 September 1.
Okay.
To start dealing with the KYC forms, the source of wealth, you know, your proof of address and all of that.
Right.
But my question is, today we recently discovered that one of our insurers doesn't put the source of wealth form. Now, I've worked with one company before that dealt with everyone except this particular company that doesn't do it. So I'm like, okay, we have other companies that actually have the source of wealth. If you're high risk, we need to know where these funds are coming from, but then you have this other company, no, we're not doing that. We just need to know your proof of address. But me and my manager was having a discussion today. She's new to the company, and she's like, this still doesn't tell me where this funds came from. I know where you live, but you could still be a drug dealer bringing in $80,000 vehicle to say insure, and you look average or normal person, that as clear as day.
Okay.
So, I have my question is, is that against compliance laws and regulations, rules as relates to the insurance industry, that this particular company doesn't require a source of wealth fund form? Okay, let me tell you 2 things. In the central bank guidelines, and perhaps I need to pull this up. In the central bank guidelines, it says there are mandatory requirements, and then there are, if you wish to get these requirements, right? Okay. So let me just pull it up so I can show you, perhaps to make it clearer. They say wish, and when they say, it's 2, and this causes a conflict in many institutions. Let me just show it to you so I'm trying to share, but it ain't allowing me to share. I would like to know your source of your source of wealth rather than knowing where you. Let me say this first. First of all, these laws came out in 2000, right? And it took the banking industry almost 20 years to get up to date. In 18 years before they fully implemented it, were fully trained, and were fully operating efficiently, right? So we have to give the insurance industry a break, and that's probably what the regulators are doing, because each
company, remember, risk-based approach, not one size fits all, will have to submit their risk framework to the regulator, the insurance commission, and the insurance commission will say yay or nay, whether or not we accept this as your risk framework.
But you have,
asking
we
for
only
source of
have
revenue.
what, three major insurers here? 3, 4?
No, I mean, I don't know how many persons under the, all these, everybody is reinsurers.
Everybody's under ICB,
What is ICB?
Insurance Commission of the Bahamas.
Insurance who?
Commission of the Bahamas.
You know, that's the insurance commission is the regulator.
Yeah,
That's
so
the
everybody
regulator.
has to follow.
So I'm talking about like Kalina, J.S.
Uh-huh.
Johnson, right? So
Mhm.
they are the major insurance firms. They
They
have
are
a lot of
brokers, actually.
reinsurers. They are brokers?
They're brokers, yes.
Okay.
So you have insurers like Royal Star, CG Atlantic, and Bahamas First, and not Magical. Oh my goodness. It's another one anyway.
Right. But each one of those companies will submit their risk-based framework to the insurance commission, and the insurance commission will say whether or not it's acceptable for the products and services that they offer. You see what I mean?
Okay.
So
Yes,
they
ma'am.
may not have any high-risk country clients. You may have high-risk clients, and so source of wealth is for high risk. Source of income is for medium and low. And so
But
they
can I tell you that I can say that there is a high-risk customer on the books for this particular company, meaning a relative of a prime minister.
okay, well then they should be asking for source of wealth. So we
But they're
don't know.
not.
See, we don't know what they would have put in place as their risk framework to the regulator. And because it only happened in 2019, the regulator probably hasn't come in and verified and realized that they are not using this and then to make it mandatory. Because let me show you, this is what it says. In determining the risk profile of any customer, a supervised financial institution should take into account factors such as the following, okay? Geographical origin of the customer, the nature of the activity, the frequency undertaken, the customer type, okay? The type and complexity of the facility. This is what it says you must get, okay? Now, somewhere here, it says source of income. You may get that. And so companies have opted not to get source of income because
One company
shall versus, yeah. Some says shall and some says may. You know what I mean? And so people, like I said, you would notice the difference in a Canadian bank. The Canadian bank, they're very conservative. They don't ever want to be in problems with the regulator. So the regulator asks for one piece of ID. Canadian banks ask for 2. Okay? In the Swiss banks, they don't respect Bahamian law. They do everything and they try to cut down, saying this hampers doing business. And so therefore, they ask for as little information as possible. And it really hampers you from carrying out compliance. So it really is determined based on the internal policy of that business and what the framework allows. And you get to minimize the amount of due diligence information you request based on telling the regulator, hey, we have no PEPs. Hey, we have no high-risk customers. When the regulator comes in, then they see that you do have PEPs and then they enforce it. Okay? So source of wealth is for high risk. Source of income is for low or medium. But your organization can tell that company that we will not do business with you. If any customer that we share, you must get the source of income or
Not
the source
their
of
parent
wealth.
company.
Sorry?
Not their
How
parent,
do you?
not their parent company. They'll never tell them that because, like I say, as a new person coming in and realizing from the conversation I had with the underwriter and, you know, realizing who the person was, she was like, well, where is this? I was like, oh,
Yeah.
and I referred to their guidelines. I was like, well, they don't require that. And I went with it, but I told her the companies that I know would require it if, in fact, that you are a PEP, you need to follow that source of wealth, regardless.
Right, correct. However, they haven't been, you know, we are reactive rather than proactive. So the auditors or the central bank or the insurance commission, you come in and check them yet. And so they ain't gonna do it until they are told to do it. Okay, because it may cost some money for them to, you know, they probably never asked for it. Now to go back to 800 clients and ask for it. They say we wait until we get right up for that.
And then I can tell you they fail losing that customer on the books. But why?
Right. So
First time to not face that risk of losing a customer, having to tell them, well, now you have to fill this out, which from inception, 2 of the other major companies, they had that in place there when they did their pre-training. That was something that was there. As long as you're high risk, as long as you're past medium and you're considered a high risk customer, we need you to now accompany your KYC form and ID with that source of wealth fund.
okay, and so this is what you do. You say this is the parent, right?
It's the parent company, yeah.
Okay, so what you do is you take that out your policy and you place that on that person's file. Then you place an email to your manager advising them that for the policy, either you need to follow the policy or somebody give me a waiver to put on this file so that when the auditors come in, that person who signed that waiver will answer to it. However, I have to list this file as incomplete. Okay, and that's how you protect yourself.
And keep
Because
above
your
it.
policy states that, and you just label that as a deficient account until they fix that. Okay, because that's a policy issue. The policy has to be updated. But this is how they get away with it. You see right here, it says a supervised financial institution must obtain full name and correct. And we could talk about all of this in chapter 6. Date and purpose of the account, nature of the business. In addition, the following information may also be obtained. And as compliance professional, we have argued this forever. Like I said, the Canadians are conservative. They want more than the regulator asks for. The Swiss banks, this says, you know how much people stand over me? Ms. Bullitt, you just is overdoing. You're not in a Canadian bank any longer. It says may. That means we could decide whether we want to get it or not. And you go right down there, and there it is, source of funds. Okay?
1 second, I just want to take a quick photo of that.
So must means law, may means if you feel like it. However, for proper due diligence and good record keeping, and so you don't have to, so you have all your information all at once, because you would find that after you open an account for these people, especially high net worth people, blood, sweat, and tears for you to get another document from them.
Yes,
okay, because the salespeople so afraid to lose the business.
Ms. Bullitt, you could scroll down to where it says the source
of funds.
And
we
this is
get
all taken from the.
This is from central bank guidelines, but you could go to the insurance commission website and look for their same for money laundering. It's the same policy. It'll just say insurance commission, and it wouldn't be as long as this. And you could go look. Let me tell you what this falls under. Oh Lord, I going too far now. Let me see. Yeah. I going too far. What page? You recall that was page 28. Can you take a picture? Okay, right here.
Found
So
it. Okay.
page 26. Okay, so let me tell you, go look for identification procedures.
Okay.
In your insurance commission, and it should say the same thing. Because all
Okay.
it is to copy and paste between regulators.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, and it's so small, people, only lawyers will pick that up. The must versus the may.
So now, for instance, if something happens and that's something that that particular company can argue now because you didn't mandatory. Must, may,
Right.
means it's optional. We decided not to. But like you said,
Yeah, but
you have,
no, y'all didn't decide not to. Your policy, you wrote in policy that we will make that a requirement, correct? That's what you tell me. Your policy says it's a requirement. Does your policy also is written like this?
not our personal policies. It's based on the insurers. And like I said, we have other insurers that we write for, and they do have it included. You when you get
No. You have to have your own internal AML policy. You can't be using if your company name ABC company. The front of your policy should say ABC.
I will definitely investigate that because when it came up today, they went to the insurer and the insurer is like, oh no, that's not me.
Which policy are you following? Because when the commission comes in or when audit comes in, the first thing they do is say, give me a copy of your policy. And they are going to test you against everything that you write. And let me tell you something, most of the times we do not do what we wrote, okay? It'll say, we don't do business with high-risk customers. Or one policy I was auditing, they said, we don't have an appetite for pets. And they had the government of Croatia. They had like 4 different government accounts. I said, but your policy says you don't have an appetite for pets. That means you don't have controls in place. And so they almost got shut down for that. Your policy
I will
must
ask
match
about
what
that
you do.
policy tomorrow.
Yeah, ask it and just
tomorrow
see if it says the same must and may. And then highlight may. Put that on the file. So if you have a question, you could say, well, it's best practice. And that's the difference between policy and procedure. Procedure is normally best. You say it is best practice to get the source of wealth. However, our policy states that we may get it. And this was approved by the commission. Okay, just so
can I go ahead for our sake obtain our company's manual, and as it relates to the insurer, at the end of the day, they have a checklist what they provided us to follow. So when you get a certain level, what they require you to
your policy, your checklist should be in your policy saying this is the approved checklist to use. And your policy should say who could waive documents. You can't waive, you can't waive the must. You can waive the may. And so you, to protect yourself, you get somebody with authority to waive that source of wealth, and you put that on your file, and then that file is complete. Or you save the email where they say they ain't asking for it. And so it outside of you, you know what I mean? But you must keep that documentation.
That I want to bring up to you.
Okay.
What's this customer, right? This is now in relation, because you know they have corporate and then they have individual. I know I kind of ahead of a class, but I had an instance where basically I'm like a mini auditor. I go over everyone's work, including all my bosses. And this individual, this person, let's say it's a law firm, Rigby and Co. Right? So you have a corporate KYC form on file for Rigby and Co. Now, Precious Rigby now takes out a policy for personal use, which is Precious Rigby. And I literally had to argue with a person that, hey, this is now on an individual level. I'm gonna need you to obtain this individual KYC form, because corporate situation is different from that. Oh, why do we need that when we have this? I say, this says Rigby and Co.
Okay, is she the sole proprietor?
No.
Okay, so then you're right. But listen now, remember I say best practice. And then we have to strike a balance between compliance and audit and customers and the front, you know. You just need to be knowledgeable and document it on file. Rigby and Co. means that there are other shareholders. So
exactly.
You are right. But if she was the sole proprietor, you would put that on file that she's a sole proprietor, we would normally get an individual form. However,
They'll
because she's a
acknowledge
sole
the corporate.
proprietor, we just waive that in good customer service to the customer. You see what I mean? See,
But Ms.
we
Bernard,
get
if you have the
written up,
customer
but-
there, what's 2 seconds? Like, hey.
Yeah, but some people are touchy. Like I say, when they open an account, when they want to open an account, that's when you get everything. After that, blood, sweat, and tears. You have to cut them with a knife, shut down their account. The company don't want to lose no business. Okay, so
Exactly, but
what
then you argue with them and you try to tell
no,
them.
don't argue. Strike a balance.
No, not with the customer, but colleagues. You argue.
No, you would colleagues. No. There's something called colleague care that you give the colleagues the same white glove service that you would give the customer.
Yeah,
You
Ms.
said,
Bullet,
how
some of
can
them
we
want
meet
tap
each other
me and I
halfway?
want to tap them back.
No. You have to be the bigger person. How do I meet? I
try
want
to
a
most
solution. I want a solution. The solution is you meet me halfway. Send me an email and I'll put it on file. But
That's what I do now.
you need to put this in writing and stop talking. They are whoever salesperson.
Mhm.
This company represents other shareholders. This is why I'm requesting. Sometimes you got to give them a little explanation.
Oh,
Always be
yes.
diplomatic, and thank you so much for your prompt assistance. And
Yes,
have
I
a
do
great
that now,
weekend.
but on the
Appreciate
telephone, you have some of
Appreciate
them
it.
who would try to get out of character, and I've
Yeah.
had to train myself when I'm angry to speak stern, but speak slowly.
Yeah, but send emails. No
That's
cap,
that's
small
what helped
writing.
me in a safe spot because
Yeah,
it's always what you say against what I say, but at the
right.
end
So
of the day,
send an email, put that
Something?
email on file, and that's it.
that's what I do.
Yeah, and after you send 3 emails, you escalate it to your manager. You say that's a deficient account, and you move on. Because then you create an administrative nightmare. You have to keep going back, keep going. Let your manager now
Yeah.
know this is a deficient account. And I show her the emails. I said that our policy and stop, that's what you have to start quoting. For policy, it is required that individuals have an individual account and companies have a company list. Had there not been any additional shareholders, we could have, used it however best practice. Because there are other shareholders and they are not privy to the information on her personal account. Say something like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Latoya, you wanted to say something?
No, you answered me. I
Okay.
just wanted to, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Move away out these fires. Develop your soft skills. Email for policy, respect the position, take away the person. Respect the auditor. Audit requires this. Compliance
I have-
requires that.
I have a question with regards to that though. So you're saying that the owner of the company could get a personal loan on that company's account?
Why a loan? Where you got a loan from?
Not, you know what I mean? Like Precious was explaining, how the lady wanted to come and get something for personal.
Yeah, but this is an
gain.
insurance company now.
Right.
No, what they were saying is she opened an account and it was a checklist, say Precious.
Yes, ma'am. There is a
Yeah.
check because
So
it's actually for the company.
yeah, so there's a checklist for companies and there are checklists for individuals. They are
Yes.
saying Precious want too much. She could just
For,
cross
as
off
an
the-
individual.
Yeah, right. So
Okay,
she just
and that's
saying
not-
if the woman opens a new account, she needs a new
Uh,
checklist. Right.
Yes, okay, that's
Yeah.
the next part, okay.
Okay, risk-based approach. Okay, so we understand where we are at with the national risk assessment. We are still paying that $100,000 because our country's national risk assessment isn't up to date. And of course, there are so many the entire financial services sector has to be captured. They're not going to take 36 pages again. Okay. And don't think that it's only the Bahamas, it's Switzerland, it's Germany, all of them are deficient. We were deficient in 22 of the 40 recommendations. Okay. So we updated all the laws in 2018, and now the Insurance Commission, we have to confirm that all the insurance companies are getting KYC. And as you could see, they just started that in 2019. And remember now, compliance is expensive. They had to hire a compliance department. They had to put systems in place. They had to put people in place. And now these people have to be trained. So it's a curve, it's a learning curve. The banks took from 2000 to 2018 to get it right, okay? Luckily, the insurance companies and the law firms, the accounting firms and the real estate can learn from all our mistakes and read our manuals and get some training. However, you know, we didn't have anybody to train us. We had to, you know, trial and error, go internationally and get training. And so now we finally got it right. Okay, so y'all could leverage off on us. However, it takes time. Okay, and so now they need, the insurance commission now needs to add to this national risk assessment. So when we send it in, the Bahamas does not overall become high risk because a lot of countries will not do business with us. And the net effect is my company is still paying $100,000 for that trading desk because it's perceived that our risk rating is high because we don't have a rating from 250. Okay, and so the governor is putting in a lot of strategies to ensure that we are not high risk. And so one was to put a moratorium on the money services business because all the money going out of the country plus money services businesses are high risk. Okay, number houses, moratorium, only 7 licenses because they are cash intensive and they are high risk. So you'd see that the Canadian banks say, we don't want them. You know, before the laws changed, we used to have all the number houses accounts at Royal Bank. After the laws changed, they too cash intensive, we don't want them. Okay, and so what the governor has done is also created the sand dollar. The sand dollar is the Bahamas digital asset. It's not cryptocurrency. It's a digital asset where we can eliminate some of this cash because the more cash you have, the higher your risk is. Okay. And another important question when you think about risk is methodology. Okay. This word here. What goes into making a country high risk? And this is the methodology from the Basel Committee. Okay. You see right here, it says 35% in mutual evaluation report. And so, of course, we know from our report, we were deficient in 22 of those 40 recommendations. So we had to get them up to date because we do not want that to be a factor as why we are high risk. Somebody had a question?
Share the screen. I was telling you, share your screen.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. So this is the methodology, right, from the Basel Index, because of course no country is going to want to be high risk, right? And so they say, tell us how we are going to be tested, and you're going to be tested from these 5 domains. Okay, the quality of your AML CFT framework is 65%. So of course, you know, we have to have all those recommendations up to date. Okay, your bribery risk matrix. Transparency International corruption perception, 10%, okay? And this is Transparency International corruption perception. Anything below 45 is considered high risk, okay? And so you see the least corrupt country is Denmark. Did we look at this before?
Last week.
We did, right? So we did chapter 5 already?
No, you just.
We didn't look at it, you just mentioned it.
Right,
We had a
okay.
discussion on it.
About Denmark.
Right, yeah. Okay, so you're all familiar now with corruption perception. Of course, we see Bahamas here at 64. And I told you all the story. We was talking about correspondent banking, right? I told you all the story by 1 week I paid salaries to Russia.
Yes, and the next week you couldn't do it.
Right, because they were below 30. Okay. Yeah, see, Ms. Bulletin give you all these stories. Okay, so this is the index. Okay, see, Dominican Republic. And I have a few friends that went over there to go to the Hard Rock. We can't send wires there. Kenya, Angola, Paraguay, all these countries, Madagascar, couldn't send money. Okay, so all of that matters. It falls in the risk rating of the country. This is the methodology. Okay, so our corruption perception is 66 or 64. So we in good standing, way above 45. Okay, so all of that deals with recommendation 1 and the risk assessment of the country. Sorry, somebody had a question?
Ms. Bullitt, last week, your example with the Russia, the next week when you tried to do it, what? It was flagged, or when you use the intermediary bank, they told you these, how did you know the next week?
Yeah, so I paid salaries into the system, and they were blocked. And so when I tried to find out what's going on, these salaries, they say we no longer do business with countries that have a corruption perception index less than 30. I said, what? I say, your nominee countries have less than 30, and they say, yeah, we know. I say, so what do we do with those countries? They say, close them out, because of course the US already had them blocked. Okay, and this was the beginning of countries updating their laws, so they are not blacklisted, and so they are not high risk. Okay, so of course, you know, you have the US correspondent banks, and then you have one out of Europe and one out of Switzerland. And US always had everything blocked. Now our secondary banks blocking as well, so there was no way to get money into these areas. And these were tactics that they use internationally to get the governments to put the laws in place. Okay, so all these people just had to close out their account because there was no way. And see, Lebanon wasn't below, because like I said, I was sending money to Lebanon until that explosion happened, and he blamed Israel. Okay, so just so you would understand. Okay, so the book goes on. We covered recommendation 1, assess your risk, put controls in place. Countries, then companies, assess your risk, put controls in place. Okay, and so the book goes on to say risk-based approach is described as risk identification and assessment, risk management and mitigation, documentation of the risk assessment. The risk framework is threefold. It's risk appetite. Are we going to do business with high-risk countries or no? Do we want pizza or McDonald's? Do we have an appetite for PEP? Yes or no? Do we have appetite for correspondent banking? Yes or no? Because correspondent banking is considered high risk. Okay, so that's risk appetite. Risk assessment then talks about criminal risk, reputational risk, concentration risk, and you document this entire assessment, and then you send it on to the central bank or to the insurance commission or to the gaming board, whomever your regulator is, and they approve it. Okay, and so you document these various risks, and then you put controls in place to mitigate this risk. Okay, if we have a high risk customer, we will let the compliance committee or the board approve that. If we have a low risk customer, we let the compliance officer approve, low or medium. Okay, if it's high risk, we get source of wealth. If it's low risk, we get source of income. Okay, so you just document the controls that you put in place. We used to have an account out of Antigua and Barbuda. Their central bank said this account is too concentrated, meaning they had all their eggs in one basket. So for our concentration risk, we had to say, even though this is our largest customer, we are going to send some of their money over to the Scotiabank. So we kept 60%, and the Scotiabank kept 40%. Of course, we didn't want to lose that money, but our central bank and their central bank said we were too concentrated. Okay, concentration risk. And so documenting policy and procedure and documenting controls that you put in place to protect your company against any risk associated with it. Okay, so risk appetite, risk assessment, and then risk rating. Are you high, medium, or low? What is our methodology? Okay, we see what the methodology is for countries. Okay, we have something similar in our institutions where we ask, what jurisdiction are you from? What jurisdiction do you do business in? Where you were born, and then we decide how we are going to risk rate you. Yes, go ahead, Teresa.
My question was, you had touched on PEPs earlier, and I wrote a note because I wanted to ask you about PEPs today. How do you all handle PEPs? Because for me, that is such a touchy subject. Like,
Yeah, but okay, so chapter 6, I'll start. Okay, chapter 6 talks about PEPs, and I'll start with it. Talks about PEPs at the end, but I'll start with PEPs. Are we, just before we go into PEPs, any risk questions? Are we understanding the high, medium, and low for the risk rating? Are we understanding risk appetite, risk assessment, and then risk rating? We understand the risk-based approach versus the rules-based approach. In our organizations, have we implemented the 3 lines of defense, where the front line is the first line, the management, and the front line is the first line, compliance is the second line, and then the third line is audit? We understand those 3 lines of defense against risk.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So we will move on to chapter 6, and we will talk about PEPs. We'll start off. And so if you look at the back of PEPs, at the back of chapter 6, it talks about politically exposed persons, and it gives a definition that any close associate, family member, natural person who is closely connected. We have persons saying that we are a head of an association reporting to the Prime Minister. So I said, okay, use a PEP, because you reported by an association reporting to the Prime Minister. Okay, and so in our appetite, most companies say we just don't want to be bothered with governments, okay, or politically exposed persons. So we don't have an appetite for PEP, and so they block them out. Okay, so in the old guideline from the central bank, it used to say a PEP was only a PEP for 1 year after they left office. However, when the guidelines were updated, they removed that. So a lot of compliance, they didn't want to do the work. And so when the commissions came around and audits came around, they said, what is your policy regarding PEP? So just like this must and may, they left it up to us, but we had to write it in policy. And my view was, once a PEP, always a PEP. Somebody else's view was a PEP is a PEP for 5 years. Or somebody else said, well, we'll do a review. And if that PEP is a consultant or on the campaign trail, then we will keep them as a PEP. Okay, but I said once a PEP, always a PEP, but they didn't agree. So we said, after 10 years after you demit office completely, then you are no longer a PEP. So the law leaves it up to you to decide how you will, I guess, document your PEPs, but it must be in writing, okay, in your policy. And they will test to make sure you are following your policy, okay? ICA had a question on PEPs as well, and it says, give the definition of a PEP. And so, of course, everybody went to the law and say a prominent public function, the commissioner, the police, and whomever. However, in countries like Mexico, the definition of a PEP includes every public servant, okay? And so if you have a Mexican customer here in Bahamas, you must put that document on file to say, in their country, they would be considered a PEP because they are a government employee. However, in the Bahamas, we don't consider after a permanent secretary a PEP. So like I say, it's all about policy and procedure and documentation. Okay, and whatever your internal policy states, that is what you're going to be tested against. but you must respect other countries. And I think that's Russia, Mexico, most of the communist countries say, if you work for the government, you are a PEP. In Venezuela, most of the business licenses are through a company called PDVSA that's heavily sanctioned. So 90% of the jobs in Venezuela are related to this oil company, largest oil reserve in the world. Somebody is dig the hole, somebody is pumped the gas, somebody supply something. So in Venezuela, you do not get a business license and you 100% shareholder. You get a business license and you are 60%, no, the government is 60% shareholder and you are 40%. Okay, and so whomever is the majority shareholder, you go with their risk rating. And so if the government is the majority shareholder, all these business licenses out of Venezuela, then you are high risk and you are considered a PEP because you have a joint venture with the government. Okay, Teresa, did I answer your question or you want to ask something else about PEPs?
My question really relates to, although you are a PEP, you can still, let's say I'm a client of XYZ Bank and my father was the former Prime Minister of Bolivia. I make my own money, but I have to state that my father's a PEP, and you have to disclose that.
Yeah, you use a PEP.
Yeah, right, I'm a PEP. So, right, exactly. So does that mean that if I have an account at XYZ Bank, I can do a wire transfer, or of course,
no, you could do anything. You just must be risk rated as high risk.
Risk rated as high risk.
That's it. Yeah. And then
so you can still do transactions and everything.
You can
so
do anything.
There's not extra scrutiny, because at high risk,
Yeah.
there would be extra scrutiny, but
Right.
you are allowed to do things.
Yeah, you're allowed to do anything a regular person could do, but you are subjected to extra scrutiny. Like you said, there is simplified due diligence, and then there is enhanced due diligence. So enhanced due diligence just means the extra steps that we take. And that's the way I mentioned. For low and medium, we do simplified due diligence, and we just ask for the passport, proof of address, world check. For high risk, we ask for world check, LexisNexis, Google search, and my company even pays $1,500 for a report called a proximal report, because we have Venezuelan clients. So that proximal report goes into your country. They do a full investigation on you, your businesses, your family, and they provide a report. Okay. So you just want to be able to distinguish what are the extra steps we take in enhanced due diligence. So like Precious said earlier, for simplified due diligence, low and medium, we ask for source of income. For high risk, we ask for source of wealth.
Source of wealth.
Yeah. Okay, and Precious, you could go on the commission site, because they even have, oh, I forget the thing. They went a step further. I forget the terminology that they use. They want more than source of wealth. They want a something statement. What you call it?
Oh, I haven't heard about it as yet. I think they meeting with everyone to roll that out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I can tell you what, I'm trying to pull it up right now to see if I could even remember. Because I was like, oh Lord, they even want more than what the bank's asking.
Yeah, I see they were in some meetings within this week. So it's probably something that they're gonna be rolling out.
Yeah, yeah. Income statement or something like that. More than just the source of wealth. Because see, the source of income is just your employment letter or your pay stub, right? The source of wealth means I need 3 years of financials. Or if you inherited this money from your grandmother, I need a copy of a will. If you sold a piece of property, I need the conveyance. You know, and so I got to track to where you get this money from in its entirety. So it's a whole lot more work for just a pay stub to source of wealth. Okay. And so that's the difference between enhanced and simplified. Simplified due diligence is carried out, like I said, on low and medium accounts, enhanced on high risk and PEPs. And so simplified, there was a section that said exempted, and exempted was any body in the financial services sector that was registered on the stock exchange or have a regulator, because the premise was that the regulator would have verified you and they have your KYC on file, and so you don't have to ask for any KYC. However, I was Royal Bank Trust and we wanted to open up an account with Royal Retail, and they say we don't accept exempted accounts. We say, but we is Royal and Royal, they say no. So definitely Sabas, who is out of gaming, can't walk into no bank and say, oh, I'm approved by the gaming board, so you don't need my KYC. The bank still has to have an internal policy that say, we don't accept exempted, so you must bring every day. Okay, so just to know those differences between enhanced versus simplified, because that's a very popular question that always comes up. Okay, and then to know the definition of the PEP. We got all of that? Prominent public function, all our commissioner of police, the head of defense force, all our permanent secretaries, and their cousins.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
And
They're
that's the
associated
Rupee,
with
Dr.
them.
Rupee. Dr. Rupee, like say cousins.
Yeah, they're associated with them, definitely.
Yeah.
Cousins as well?
Yeah, because you are known by association.
And close, they are auntie children, which they say
Yeah,
the family.
yeah.
Right. And
So
so
the KYC form, they would ask, if you're not a PEP, do you have relatives or anyone who's close to you? Who
and like Clint Watson wasn't a PEP.
he's now a
And then
PEP.
Brave daughter, husband, he was low risk, but he married Brave daughter. And so now he is high risk. So
Yes,
when you
ma'am.
do your review, you make all these changes.
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
sorry, Miss.
And for
Police
example,
officer- oh, sorry.
Honorable Keith Bell, his status change in our system
Right,
was elected. Mhm.
right. Okay,
So
but
we-
we had him, we never changed him because he was before the minister,
That's
state
right,
minister
exactly.
for national security. So he been high risk straight across for us.
But at work, they had him as low, and then we now have him as a now.
Well, again, like I said, your policy must stay once a PEP, always a PEP, or after 5 years or after 10 years. You know, so you want to ensure that they're not consultants.
Consultants too.
Yeah. Anybody affiliated,
Okay, okay.
Perry Christie on the campaign trail, their wives,
Mm.
or these outside children that you don't even know is theirs.
You said police officers, Ms. Bullard, or just the
Oh, I
commissioner?
said the commissioner.
Commissioner, anyone in high ranking.
Okay,
Yeah, and the
okay,
deputy commissioner, yeah. We
okay,
go like to number 3, like the permanent secretary level.
okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
with
and
this
anybody who talking about, they report to the Prime Minister, Clint Watson. Hello?
Call the supervisor, okay.
Okay.
But Miss Bullard, sorry, one more question, please, on this PEP thing. The methodology of the Basel Convention, like, I'm sure they have standards, or like you said, what to look for with the risk assessment with PEPs. But each company has a different, would have different rules for PEPs, no? Or like they may have more, although it's high risk, they may ask more than another company would.
Yes, and they're
Right.
entitled to, because
And,
okay, who should really be in jail? The lawmakers. Who are the lawmakers? These PEPs. Okay, and so they fix the law because they're the criminals, they're the real criminals. So you just make sure it's documented in your policy. Whatever your decision is from your board, put it in writing, and that's what we do. Okay, and that's how you protect yourself. Now, any other corruption that they do would be at their level. You always walk around with your policy, or you clip it off and put it on the file. You send that email to your manager and forget about them.
okay,
They just create an administrative nightmare trying to work the system.
okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay. So back in chapter 6, just before due diligence, it talks about statutory requirements. Okay, very popular question on the exam. there are 5 statutory requirements: identification, record keeping, training, monitoring, and the MLRO. That's 5. I missed one. I can say it again: identification, record keeping, monitoring, training, and the MLRO. I can start from the back. The MLRO. Of course, this is why we're here. We all hope to be compliance officers and money laundering reporting officers. Of course, we know by now this is a regulated function, which means the company can put an ad in the paper. They could select Ms. Bullitt. However, Ms. Bullitt has to go through a background check process from the regulator and get approved. If Ms. Bullitt is not approved, they have to find somebody else. You normally need 3 to 5 years experience. You have to have the ICA or ACAMS, and they like persons who would have been in the field for at least 20 years, because you have to keep the entire organization, what should I say, compliant, okay? After you are approved by the regulator, you must then register with the FIU, okay? They will ask you where you live. They want a private telephone number. They want a private email address outside of the institution, because some people could go to jail, okay? And at the very top. So they want to make sure that they can have private conversations with you. They call you in once a year to have an audience to talk about any issues you may have in the company, where the company is not being compliant, or compliance is becoming operational. Compliance should be independent of the business. Compliance should report to the board. Compliance is never, ever independent of the business. Compliance is always operational. It's not right, okay? But you have to pick your fights. In most institutions, compliance makes no money for the business. Sales is make all the money, so they just give all the money to sales, okay? We only protect the business by not, keeping the business compliant, and then not getting fines, okay? But an MLRO is a money laundering reporting officer. They are supposed to make judgment, investigate, fill out these reports, suspicious transaction reports. They must not tip off. They must not fail to disclose. They must act honestly and reasonably, and they must submit suspicious transaction reports to the Financial Intelligence Unit. Okay. Training is required by law each year in January. This January 2022, you would see in the newspaper where the FIU says, if there's any financial institution that has not trained all of their staff by December 31st for the prior year, they will be charged $10,000 per day per staff member that is not trained. And so all of you who are hiding from that AML person and don't want to do AML training, you'll please stop it, because the company could be fined and you can be fined as well as an employee. The regulators now want a copy of the training deck. They want everybody to sign, and they want everybody to be tested and the grade sent. Okay.
Ms. Miller, are you aware of the fine per individual?
I'm not, but you could look at the FIU website. I think it's $10,000 per day per person.
Okay.
So that person, there will be $10,000 a day.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean it in the law and on the FIU website. Yeah, so they're taking training seriously, okay? And it says new employees should be given general information about money laundering. Employees dealing directly with the public should be looking at suspicious transaction reports. Managers, back office, and operations should cover all aspects of AML, CFTPF procedures, and this should be done annually. Before the law changed in 2018, of course, they only trained the lay staff. However, now it's a requirement that the board is trained. And if you have external asset managers like In the offshore world, nobody walks into the bank. We have external asset managers and business introducers sitting in Switzerland, in Germany, in Japan. And so they have to be trained on Bahamian law. And so everybody has to sign, all consultants, everybody has to attend training, and you submit those training logs to the FIU, I know, to the regulator, sorry. Okay, record keeping, each all this KYC and transactions and all these documents that we receive from the client must be kept for a minimum of 5 years if you're a bank and 7 years if you're a securities company. And so if you're dual regulated by the bank and the securities company, and you work in the Canadians could say we can keep it for 10 years. We don't want to be in trouble with the regulators. The Swiss could say we can keep these for 7 years on the dot, and the day after, you shred them. Okay, throw away all the evidence, but you must keep it in accordance to what your regulator says. I think the gaming board too is 7 years, so you'd have to find out. Should you not keep it, you could be charged $20,000 per individual and $100,000 per company. Okay, you must keep the documents and the transactions. So if they need to dig up some stuff and take some people to court, they'll have evidence. And
I have a question.
Mhm.
With the PEP, I know in the insurance industry, as long as you're an individual, I think most insurance company would allow your form for 5 years. And if you are a PEP, then every 3 years, they require you to update it. Is that the same way in the banking industry?
No, we have, all our documents have an expiry date. Now, most banks, you will see that if you look in the corner, it say 2003, that's when it was created. And so they don't even have the new laws. But if you work into a bank that taking AML seriously, you will see that you have an expiry date for every 10 years. Okay, and or when the law changes, we have to add a new form and send it out to 800 clients. Okay, so it just depends on your institution, but normally it's for 10 years because it never used to be a lot of changes. Now from 2018, we had a lot of changes, but still we have an expiry date for 10 years on our form. Now, when you get to intermediate, you'll learn about the W8, the W9, or the US tax forms. They expire every 3 years. And if the person is actively trading, you cannot trade if that form is expired. Okay, so the last set of forms was 217, so 18, 19, 20. Yeah, so the new forms out now, so everybody's trying to update those forms. But normally 10 years, because we have a lot of terms and conditions and clauses, and on the offshore side, our account opening package is 45 pages. You all only have 2 or 3 pages, right, Precious?
Repeat that for me, Ms.
How many pages your application form is? 2 or 3?
For policies?
No, I mean, if you said account opening, right?
Yeah, that'll be
your PEP form. That'll be a part of your account opening package, right?
Yes, but the PEP form normally 2.
2 pages, right? So
compile theirs to 1.
You're right. So in the offshore world, our account opening package is 45 pages. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know who works retail, who could tell us how many on the retail side. At least 10, eh? Anybody work in a retail bank? No? Lanique, you here? I hear from you tonight.
Yeah, that's about one.
It's about, my mic was acting up, sorry. It's about
11, 12, 13.
About 13, yeah. But the last document is like 6.
6 pages.
Yeah, so you can imagine sending that out to 800 clients. So yeah, that's a lot. So yeah, we have a long expiry date, but we'll have to create, if a law changes, then we update. And before, the laws never used to change. Just after 2018, everything start changing. Okay, but that's record keeping. Okay, my next statutory requirement is identification, then I'll go to monitoring. Identification, of course, there's nowhere in the world you could go walk into a financial institution and not have to produce KYC. Very popular multiple choice question. Do we get KYC or do we get due diligence? We get KYC and then we carry out due diligence on that KYC. Everybody's get that wrong, okay? But we identify to prevent reputational risk, preserve the veracity of the banking system, and to complement the bank's risk management strategy. Okay, there are two main constituents: the physical identity, which is the name, date of birth, and registration number, and then the activity undertaking, which means the profile. How many transactions are you going to carry out per month? How much money are you going to bring into the organization? Okay. I went to an industry briefing and they said across the industry, KYC was the most deficient. Full name and correct name. I named William, but we let the people put Bill and we accept that. Or we, if foreign name. Yeah.
I have a battle with that right now. Or
a foreign name, we spell it wrong, right?
Yeah.
Two means of contacting the customer, the date and place of birth, the purpose of the account, the nature of the business, okay? Then all of that has to be certified by a doctor, a lawyer, what have you, because in the offshore world, everything is sent in by email or by FedEx. Nobody walks into the bank. But here in the Bahamas, you know, you walk into the bank. So you are to copy, not let the people walk into the bank with a copy. You are to copy that and then stamp certified true and correct copy on that. Right now, I have a CEO. I was filing an STR and I called him. I say, do you know Lanique Bethel? And he said, where's Lanique from? I say, from Switzerland. So he said, name doesn't sound familiar. I say, but you certified true and correct this copy. And I know you haven't been to Switzerland in the last year. So he said, really? He ran downstairs. Let me see. And this is what happens in the sales area. Because these documents come in from Switzerland and from Germany and are all around the world, and a lot of the sales persons are on commission, they don't get paid until these accounts open, okay? And so therefore, if something is not certified, they certify it themselves, or if the customer, like I say, 45 pages, some pages you just initial. If the customer didn't initial, they initial it themselves. Okay, so what's the whole purpose of us getting this account opening form? If we have to show up to court, these are our legal documents. You know, many times we show up to court with our legal documents and our copy different from the customer copy, and we all automatically lose the case because they say we tampered with the document. Okay, you want to be very careful. Okay, with if they miss it and have to go back to Switzerland, send it back. Or get two people in dual custody and you know, send the person online or agree that which clause they agree with. Because we had persons stand up in court say, well, I didn't fill out those clauses because I didn't agree to it. So I don't know, you know, obviously this bank is tampered with our documents. Okay. Another thing that we don't do is we ask for a job letter and then we let the people, the job letter say the person is made $2,000 a month, but we let the person put that they could deposit $10,000. So we don't corroborate the information that on these letters because we just don't read it. Okay. Another problem that happened, I got Edison Sumner. He went to the bank, he opened an account for cryptocurrency. This is the purpose of the account. Is this your money? No. It's Teresa, Shamara, and Latoya money. They will come and deposit and I will invest in the cryptocurrency for them. Okay. And so a transfer request come into the bank. And yes, this Edison Sumner signature. Yes, he allowed to sign on the account. But we didn't check the purpose. And so he won a Gucci belt and a Rolex watch and a BMW with the people cryptocurrency money. But we are the gatekeepers, right? And so now Edison Sumner is banned for investment accounts for 10 years, and his CEO is banned for life. The CEO took his children to Disney World. But that account officer should also be going to jail. Correct? Because Lanique ain't getting her money back, Precious ain't getting her money back, Shamara, and y'all are the gatekeepers. So you have to corroborate the information that you get and make it make sense. Not only after that, you have to check if this is a company account. You can't be buying no BMW with the people cryptocurrency money. And you all approving it. The signature match, put it through. The money on the account, put it through.
Wow.
Okay? Michelle Reckley say, I make $2,000 a month. She was able to put $1.3 million in CIBC and in the Teachers Credit Union. Yeah. Better on file. Yeah, we get all our KYC. But after we opened that account, we did not monitor it properly. Okay? So with corporate clients, we need the memorandum and articles of association. We need the location of the registered office. We need to check the registered agent. We need date and commencement of the business, the products and services that that business provides. Okay? To make sure they don't say, we do marijuana and marijuana ain't legal yet. Okay? Because on our correspondent banking, yes.
Like how you said that, that'll take the form of the business license, right?
What will take the form of the business license?
Meaning, like how you say we need the products they sell and all that will fall under the business license.
It should be on the business license, but you should have somewhere on your account opening form that states to, you know, so you could get as much information as possible.
You need all the memorandum, articles of association, this and that. You need all of them. All of them, and all of them up to say the same thing.
To make sure it's an approved company
and that they want in the banking industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need all of them for corporate accounts. It's a long list what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. On a board resolution to make sure who should sign on this account, because our messenger at Royal Bank went down to say Scotiabank and open an account, and so every check he pick up, he deposit to an account in Royal Bank's name, where he had said he was a signatory. Okay, so we need a letter from the company with the seal to make sure that these are actually directors. We need a list of directors and officers. We need a list of people who should sign. We need a list. We need a letter stating we approve for this account to be open for this purpose. Okay, and again, persons still find a way after you get all this information. You can only mitigate risk. You cannot eliminate it. Okay, you want to know the size in case of investments. You want to know the balance in ranges. You want to corroborate that they can afford to deposit $10,000 a month and where it's coming from. You only want to open up accounts for businesses that are profitable. If they have a high receivables, their receivables been outstanding for 100 days, or they have 500,000 in receivables uncollected, you want to question that, because that may mean the account is not they ain't, you know, collecting money on time. Okay, you want to look at the registered shareholders. Anybody with 10% or more has to be verified. And just like the thresholds for 5,000, 10,000, and 15, this threshold used to be 25%. And so we verified anybody who owned 25% or more shareholders. And people came in saying they own 23%. And now it dropped all the way to 10%. We have people coming in saying they own 8%. And to me, that's an automatic red flag. So even though you cannot ask that person for due diligence documents or KYC, I go online and I Google them and I try to find out who this business partner is, who's trying to stay below the radar. Okay? Then you ask for source of funds, if it's low or medium, and source of wealth, if it's high risk or PEP. okay? And after this account would have been open, you would have established a profile for that customer. You must ensure that that customer stays in that profile, okay? And you could let them go over 10% on the 10%, but it should not be a cryptocurrency account where you buy in BMWs, okay, with other people's money. When you see on a shareholders registry, it says Bullet and Co., you have to see who that co is, okay? Because that could be Bullet and Bin Laden, okay? And so therefore, there must be a nominee agreement. You must always get to the natural person. You must know that Miss Bullet and Teresa own this company. Go ahead, Teresa.
Ms. Bullet,
Yes.
let's say, which it shouldn't be now, because I haven't been in front office for a while. Let's say you're missing some documentation, right? And the account is now closing. Before you can close that account, don't you have to get all the missing documentation on file? Or how does that work?
I wouldn't waste my time. Because you have
You wouldn't waste your
100 other
time?
customers.
Nope.
You have
But what
100
if the
customers
authorities
with
come-
missing stuff and they still open.
Close
Pardon?
the account. Close the account.
Close the account and put one memo.
That's
This
all.
is the way
Make a
forward.
note.
We reach
So,
out to the
so the
customer.
authorities come on that one account, just say the account was.
Listen, we reach out to the customer. They did not want what you say?
Comply.
They did not want to comply, and therefore
Comply.
we agreed that this account should be closed.
Mhm.
Okay.
Once you have that letter on file
Yeah,
where you
that's
like
it.
show them
That's
like
it.
you've been trying to reach them and
Okay.
that close
Yeah.
the
Yes,
account.
That's what I thought. They closed it. We have exhausted all avenues to collect these documents. Close immediately.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah,
the
don't
authorities, see, I trying to get at, so the authorities won't make it look like, it won't,
No, that's what you say.
seem like
So-
you didn't do your due diligence.
Well,
See, that's
so
what I-
many years
okay.
gonna elapse, and you say we asked over and over again, and so I put that note that we agree that this should be a close because this was
Okay.
deficient too long.
Okay,
And pay attention to all the people who still open who deficient. Because like I said, most companies don't have a verification department, and that is an administrative nightmare. Once these people, especially if they're wealthy, they open an account, if the company never wants to block the account, and that's the only way you get them to bring in updated documents. Okay, that's the only way you get them to bring in a good standing. In fact, we had to agree with the sales people that we will go to the registry and get the good standings every year.
wow.
Don't even ask the
Fine.
customer for that. That irritates
Fine.
the customer. Don't ask the customer for that.
The Mexican client told me he hated me because
Yep.
I asked for information. I tell you, I'm gonna write a book. After this course, I can write a book on
But-
the abuse from clients. He told me
Yeah, but
he hated
Teresa,
me.
remember now, we have to strike a balance.
Mhm,
We know we have these spoiled rich customers.
mhm.
We still
I
have
have
to
a
always
question.
be diplomatic and offer that white glove service. You know, you should get no tangle web with them.
Mm,
Find a workaround to make your job easier.
okay.
Yeah, don't fight
I
with
have a
them.
question.
Go ahead.
Do you think it would be a good idea? Every year they have to have an audit in order for them to get their business licenses, right? The companies.
Mhm.
Do you think that they should use that to say, you know, this is like, well, the banking industry? Every year you need to supply that
No.
as a
Okay.
recommendation and add
No.
it to the audit?
No, we have to pay fees, right? And once the fees are paid, you're not struck off. So it's a little bit different for the banking. You all have to have an
Okay.
audit because a bank audits cost like $150,000.
Yeah,
We
I
can't do
know.
that, and that is take like four months. We can't do that
4
every
months.
year.
Call
Yeah.
10 months. for
Okay,
previous
there you
audit
go. That's the whole
records,
year, right? And
10,
so
11 months.
right, what the
10 months.
regulator is trying to do now is put it in line with your company now has to be risk rated. So if you're high, you're being audited every year. You're gonna find that 150 every year. Then if you're medium, every 2 years, and if you're low, every 3 years. But the companies are fighting against that, so they're not implementing it. Because like you say, audit can take up to a year and it's very
Yeah.
expensive. So yeah, no, we can't suggest that. We pay our fees,
Okay.
we get our good standing certificates. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's how we get it, our good standing. Y'all high risk somewhere. That's why y'all have to do that every year.
Every
Or that
day.
probably for y'all various shareholders. Make sure nobody thieving or the yeah, to control the amount of thieving, I should say. That's all I can say.
Thank you. I think that's the
Control
best way
amount.
to put it. The
Yeah.
control
'Cause you
amount.
know, us payments we get thief going. All we can thief.
We
Teresa,
found
you had
some
another question?
clauses. Right.
We must have a thieving class somewhere.
I'm telling you, because when you find one way, when you're made aware of one way, they find a different way
When you put a control in place, they find a way around that control.
to go around it every time.
Yep.
But the criminal's job is always to find some type of way to beat the system. They always want to get ahead. So of course, every time when you come up with something new, they already think about that. So they on to the
Listen,
thing that you didn't think about yet.
I share with you, and we found they had a credit card ring. These girls were stealing by double swiping your card. The customer never knew, but they were stealing the money. So as they swipe, they would take the money out the drawer. I'm like, what? So listen,
yeah, the hackers and scammers always win because their whole day, whilst we
it's
out,
just build around that.
build the right, trying to find a way to defraud the system.
Learning the system.
And so, Latoya,
learning
you
loopholes.
must know your policy. And that's how you protect yourself. That's the only way. If you don't know your policy and you cannot speak knowledgeably to it, you get fired or you go to jail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen, so I know.
Yeah. So
Have
monitoring.
you seen people go to jail from working at a bank or whatever, go to jail?
So let me tell you now, remember now, the bank, we used to get dragged across the courts. And so that was reputational risk for banks. And so a lot of time banks did not show up to court on the second go round after they done drag you, and then they make deals with you to try pay the money back, or they had your pension and stuff like that. So they take that. However, there are 21 crimes. Money laundering is now a predicate crime, and it's theft and money laundering and fraud and money laundering. And so if that bank does not show up, that money laundering charge is still there. And so we are being internationally watched. We had nobody charged with money laundering, and we only made it a predicate crime in 2018. So the FATF, them will know, they're just law-abiding citizens in the Bahamas. You see, so the first time we had those 5 politicians before the court, all of them get off.
Right.
So now they stop dragging people before the court on TV, but they ain't gonna let no. We have to get those numbers up immediately. I think Carl Bessel was the Attorney General. He said, "Oh, we charge 86 people with money laundering." So a lot of poor people will go to jail.
Wow.
Okay. Because the last statutory requirement, and statutory means required by law, you must risk rate these clients, high, medium, or low, and you must monitor them. Okay. You must check the transaction type. If you're low, every 3 years. If you're high, every year. Check to make sure they stayed within their frequency. Check to say the account signatory is signed. Check to see if they marry brave daughters. Now they should go from low to high. Check to see if they ain't depositing more than 10%. We say our salary is 2,000, unless they could declare the source of funds. That's all we should be accepting from them every month. Okay, so you must monitor the account. Okay, and you must label the high-risk accounts as high, the PEP accounts as high-risk PEPs, and they must be monitored annually. Okay, so 5 statutory requirements: identification, record keeping, training, monitoring, and the MLRO. Okay, required by law. Okay, we get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very popular question on the exam. Make sure you know those statutory requirements, and make sure you are exercising them in your organization because they are required by law in your organization. Okay, any questions? No, clear as mud. We could be able to retain this.
God
Yes.
willing.
Yes, ma'am.
Prayer.
Okay. Okay, ladies, so next week, I will send you this the last two chapters, 7 and 8. And by now you should have made a decision if you want to go on to intermediate or this is just too much. But if it is too much, please, stay reading the newspaper. Keep updating every 2 to 3 years and stay current and, plan out your career path. Okay. But next week, like I said, you'll have the opportunity, last opportunity to get your 5% to sit in the exam comfortably. So take your break, relax, unwind, and come back refreshed next week for the last 2 chapters.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Miss
so
Bullet.
have a great week.
Miss
Yes.
Bullet, I have a question. So when
Yes,
we
go
do
ahead.
the questions for the final exam, we wouldn't be expected to reference, right? Because we're gonna not be in the front of a computer. I'm
No, you
asking.
will say, no, see, remember now, when it's 7 essays, you're gonna go into this, the key is to go in it prepared. So you will know that I'm going to do the risk question. Of course, there's going to be a money laundering question. I'm going to do the question on the FATF. So you would have already done your research. And
So we only have to answer one of the essay questions?
no, 7.
7, right?
Oh, 7.
Yeah, so there are going to be 10 choices, but you go write these out before you come to the exam and already do your research. And you will just say, according to the Nassau guidelines, or according to this one, or you don't have to say the exact source and reference, like how you doing in your homework.
Okay, all right.
Okay, but those of you who have not done your homework, next week is the last week for homework. Please read from 17 to 20 on how to reference properly. You want to practice from now. Okay, and make sure that you read the question because a lot of persons are not answering the full question. They are missing out parts of it. Okay, read the question 2 or 3 times and make sure you answer the entire question so you could get full points. Make sure you have case examples. You won't get full points without case examples.
And Ms. Bullet, the essays are how many words for the essays on the exam?
On the exam, just 1 pages.
One
Only in
page.
the homework, it's 1,000 to 1,200 words because in ICA, it's 2,500 to 3,500 words.
I remember that. Okay,
Yeah,
1 page
but
each.
just 1 pages, a page and a half the most.
For
10
each
points.
essay, for each essay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
and you
right.
write in, so you have to let your hand rest
Yes.
the night before and put in your study leave now, please, so you're not overwhelmed.
Okay.
Miss Bullet,
Okay.
do you
Yeah.
know what day the intermediate class is gonna be yet?
No, no, Miss Dean hasn't sent that out to me yet, so no, I'm not aware. Is
Okay.
there a date issue?
No, I
Lani,
asking because I in another class Monday to Wednesday. I just hope it don't fall on that day. One of them
It'll
days.
probably it is
when I spoke to Ms.
normally
Johnson last week, Ms. Bullet, she told me the intermediate is August 18th to October 27th.
August 18th. Let's see,
Oh.
that's my baby birthday.
My-
Oh, that's on a Thursday. It's normally
Oh.
on a Saturday, though. I wonder why they do it through the week.
That's what she gave me last week. I don't know if she made a mistake. That's what
So
she gave me.
it'll most likely be on a Thursday. I mean a Saturday. You saying, Miss Bullet?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, normally these classes are on a Saturday. I was
Mm.
surprised when they told me Tuesday this time, but you know what happened? We have had some 7-day Adventists trying to get in class for a very long time, and that's when they
Oh.
change it. So perhaps that's why it's on a Thursday.
Okay.
It's normally a Saturday morning.
Okay.
You have a class on a Thursday now, Lene?
No, ma'am. I only
Okay.
have Monday and Wednesday now.
Okay.
Miss Bullet,
Saturday
will you
would
be
be better?
instructing the intermediate class as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And I teach part of ICA Shamara, so that's why I say it's on a journey. I hope you weren't done sick of this project.
No, we going all the way.
You're pretty
You're going
good.
all the way, okay.
We going all the way.
Some people say anybody except Miss Bullet. But anyway, all right. Yeah, so I'll ask I don't know, would Saturday be better for you or?
I mean, no, I just didn't want it. I hope it didn't clash with my classes, with my class now, because that one I'm in now is macroeconomics, that's for 10 weeks. So I know it's gonna be happening while I'm in intermediate too. So I just didn't want to clash, but.
Okay, but you taking 2 heavy classes at once? How you coping?
I coping, I doing it.
You're okay. Okay.
Yeah, I taking it like one thing at a time.
I know. Okay, all right. All right. Okay, guys. Well, I trust that you'll have a productive week and we'll see you next week. Please come prepared. And so you know, you get all your full points next week. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, y'all take care. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.